Hey gamers, so this is a compilation video of my reviews for the various Nintendo Directs throughout 2025, which includes, the partner showcases, the standard Nintendo Directs, and also the Donkey Kong Bananza Mario Kart World game-specific Directs. And now, I know it's not the end of 2025 yet, but Nintendo usually doesn't have any more Directs for this year, besides maybe some game stuff here and there. For example, the Kirby Air Riders Directs that happened, which were like 2 hours long, and I didn't do videos for them, although I did do shorts which are not included in this compilation video. But anyway, I usually don't do videos on those. Donkey Kong and Mario Kart were an exception. If I do something, it's probably a short. So if like there's a Metroid Prime 4 Direct soon, and I'll just cover it as a short. But anyway, timestamps will be in the description down below if you want to skip to a particular section. But yeah, let's just get right into the video. A surprise Nintendo Direct for the Switch 1, and honestly, it kind of wasn't good, the Direct. I was expecting more, and no, I wasn't expecting like a new Zelda or new Mario. I think I fully expect like something like that to be in the Switch 2 Direct that's happening. But I was still expecting something major, and that's not to say there were no good announcements in this Direct. Now, we're going to be going over every single announcement that was revealed here. We're going to be using a Nintendo Life article. Let's start off with chronological order with what they showed off first, which was Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D Remake. Coming out in 2025. I mean, it looks more like Dragon Quest 3 HD or 2D Remake. It is interesting that they are putting both games together, but we didn't really see that much more about it. We didn't see a concrete release date, and that's the problem with a lot of the games here. We either did see a lot of release dates, or if we did, they're like way later on in the year, which is so weird. But then we got No Sleep for Kamadata from AI, the Solemn Files. I don't know how you say that. It's a game by Spike Chunsoft or whatever. The people that make Danganronpa, I believe. And it did kind of remind me of Danganronpa. Apparently it's a series, but I never heard of it. So, yeah. July 25th. Then we got Royal Remastered The Mystery of the Soulless Army. This is actually a Shin Megami Tensei game. I think it's a spin-off. I don't think it's a mainline SMT game, but it's still part of the series, just like how Persona is part of the SMT series, but they dropped the SMT part of the title, which is very confusing. I don't know why, but it looked kind of cool. It's another Atlas game, and I like Atlas stuff, but yeah, it's weird that they changed the title. I don't know what's that about. Then we got more stuff on Shadow Labyrinth, which is the Pac-Man, not Pac-Man game, which looks cool. I don't know if we got a release date before, but it says here it releases on July 18th. I think that might be new. Oh, also the SMT spin-off thing comes out June 19th. Now, this is kind of interesting. We got Patapon 1+2 Replay comes out July 11th, 2025, which this is like a Sony game. There's another Sony game that is going to pop up later, and I got confused because, it has a developer on the top left corner where they're showing off these games. It said it was Bandai Namco, which got me confused because I'm like, isn't that a Sony thing? Isn't that like in the PS Plus Premium? Like I know there's like representation in Astrobot, which has third-party stuff, but it's a lot focused on the major series that were important for Sony. So there's that, so I got confused, but apparently Bandai is like handling the stuff while Sony kind of just lets out the properties, so it's not directly Sony, but it is, which is interesting. It's cool to see Sony branch out from just their console and also from PC to the Switch. I think they're starting to realize what Xbox realizes, that the Switch is not really competing with them. They're doing their own separate thing. So yeah, it's cool. Next up, we got Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar, which I think this is a DS game that's gonna remade and comes out the 27th of August. I don't have much to say about it besides I like how the cows look. Every time a new Story of Seasons game comes out, I like how the cows look. They look cute. Next up, we got Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, which still hasn't got a release date, which is so annoying. I don't know why they don't have a release date for this game. They showed off more stuff like psychic abilities, and then they talked about you could open doors with them, which is kind of funny. Like, you can open doors without psychic abilities. I know what they were trying to go at, but it's still weird that they put that out. But yeah, no release date. It's so weird. Apparently there's like rumors that it's not going to be in the next direct for the Switch 2. You know, I feel like this got to be like a cross-gen thing, right? That's why they're not showing a release date. But even still, even if it was, why not have a release date? You know, I don't understand. But, you know, at least we saw some more of it. Next we got Disney Villains Cursed Cafe, which reminds me of like Disney mixed with Coffee Talk. It comes out, well, it's out right now, so yeah. It was like a saddle drop, so yeah, it looked kind of interesting, you know, because of Coffee Talk. It looked like it took inspiration from that, but, you know, I don't know for sure. Next we got Witchbrook, which comes out winter 2025. This looked kind of interesting, kind of reminded me of like Sea of Stars a little bit. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. The Eternal Life of Goldman comes out winter 2025 as well, and this also gives me big DuckTales vibes because the guy uses like a pogo stick to like jump like Scrooge McDuck, you know, so there's that. Next we got Gradius Origins, August 7th of this year, and yeah, it looks cool. It's a collection. I like Gradius. I believe one of the games is on the Switch Online service, so this is just more of the games, and it looks cool. And there's also like a new game included, so yeah. We got Rift of the Necrodancer. It's out right now. So yeah, I want to get it at some point. I don't know how much it's going to cost. But yeah, I am interested because I like Cadence of Hyrule. And I also have the original Crypt of the Necrodancer. Haven't played it yet. But I do like the series, so I definitely want to check this out. And I like rhythm games as well. We got Tamagotchi Plaza, or however the guy said it in the direct. He said it really weird. Tamagotchi Plaza, that's what he said or something. I was like, what the heck are you saying? I thought this was like a Hello Kitty thing at first, like with the Sanrio characters, because I'm learning about Sanrio lore from, you know, a certain someone. So I thought it was that, but no, it is this thing. Yeah, I don't know what to say. We got Pokemon Legends ZA, another shout out, late 2025, no release date again, which is annoying. We saw the nighttime stuff where you could battle people, which was like very, very loosely teased in the Pokemon Presents thing. So we got to see it more here. Now this is cool, but it's also not. We got Rhythm Heaven Groove, comes out in 2026. It's cool that Rhythm Heaven is back finally. You know, the last original one was like on the Wii. I know they had like a 3DS one, but that was like kind of like a you know, mash-up of the past Rhythm Heaven stuff or something. But it's so disappointing that it comes out in 2026. Why? Like, I don't understand. And then we got a weird thing about virtual game cards, which comes out via a system update in like April 2025, which the way they described it made it look like they were trying to make it simpler for digital games, but it sounded more complicated. I'm not sure what the deal is, you know. It seems like it's some sort of like game sharing thing, like Steam does, but technically you could already do that with digital games on the Switch already. I don't know exactly what this means, you know. It kind of looks more complicated, but maybe we need to actually get hands-on with it, or they need to put out more articles talking about it. I did see something about how in the fine print they say about it can be used for Switch 1 games, Switch 2 exclusive games, along with Switch 2 versions of Switch 1 games, you know. So that kind of implies, you know, Switch 2 patches, you know, will they be paid? Will they not be? I don't know, but I guess maybe we'll see on like April 2nd. I don't know, but yeah, it's interesting. Again, I don't know what to make of this virtual game cards, you know. I don't really understand, but maybe we just need more time with it. Next, this was in like a sizzle reel. High on Life comes out May 6th. Which is cool. I think I have High on Life. I think it was a PS Plus game, or something. It was on one of the subscription services, and I haven't played it. I did like Rick and Morty, so I think I would like this game more than other people because it has the same type of humor. But I haven't seen Rick and Morty recently. And you know, I don't really care too much about first-person games, and this is a first-person game, so I don't know. But it's cool to be coming to Switch. Star Overdrive, this was also part of the sizzle reel, April 10th. We saw this before other times in other directs, and it still looks cool. Kind of reminds me of like a lot of different things, like Pokemon, Xenoblade, Hi-Fi Rush. You know, it's like a whole bunch of mashup. The Wandering Village comes out July 17th. King of Meat, which I am the King of Meat. Okay, I'll stop. Comes out 2025. Luz Lagoon, summer 2025. Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time. Hasn't this game been delayed like so many times? The frame rate in this game looked awful. Yeah, it's weird. It's like a mashup of like a combat thing with Animal Crossing, which is not new, but the Animal Crossing thing looked very much like it ripped it off, while the combat thing looked like it was very much, you know, running horribly. So I don't know, maybe they'll smooth that out. Next we got Saga Frontier 2 Remaster. It's out now, which look kind of interesting. And they have like new stuff in this remaster, so that's kind of cool. Monument Valley 1, 2, and 3 comes out. I think 1 and 2 come out April 15th, and then the third one comes out summer. I don't know what these games are. I mean, I don't know how long they've been around. I don't know if the third game is like new, like if it was already out on platforms already, or if it's, you know, a new release and then 1 and 2 are already out. I don't know, but yeah. Okay, this is the other Sony thing, technically. Everybody's Golf Hot Shots comes out 2025. Again, I believe this also said Bandai Namco, which kind of confused me, because I'm like, well, isn't that... I know that was a PS Vita and then a PS3 game, but it's cool to see it brought back, you know. I don't remember when it released, like, the last game. Again, PS Vita, PS3. I know it was, like, towards the end of the life of it and the beginning of the life of the PS4, which that started in like 10 years ago or something, you know, so time moved by so fast. But it's cool to see it make a return, and see more Sony stuff, you know, make a return as well. They're tapping into those IPs, you know. Technically they're letting them out to other people to do it, but, you know, it's still technically their IP. Next up, we got Marvel Cosmic Invasion, which is coming out in winter 2025. I believe this is a new game. It's like a beat-em-up style game with maybe light RPG elements, because there were like numbers popping up when you hit an opponent. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like the Power Rangers game, the TMNT, Shredder's Revenge, you know, which I like those beat-em-ups. I technically only played Shredder's Revenge, but it's a really fun time, and I want to get Power Rangers, even though I'm not a big Power Rangers fan at all. I don't know anything about it. I used to play with my neighbor, but I had no idea what was going on. I just had to like pretend like I did, and he explained stuff to me. But, you know, I like beat 'em ups, so, you know, I definitely want to get that. And this one is more up my alley, because I do like Marvel to some extent. I used to be really big into Marvel in the past, and yeah, beat 'em up. So yeah. And then the technically last announcement was Tomodachi Life Living the Dream, which is so nice to finally be back with Tomodachi Life, though it comes out in 2026. Why Nintendo? Like, I don't understand why it's so late. You know, it is cool that it's finally coming back, Tomodachi Life. I'm hoping they have like same-sex marriages. The Miis look kind of weird in this game. I think it's the lighting of the game. Maybe they'll fix it up for the final release. It is coming out in like a year, so, you know, I think we'll see improvements. But yeah, I don't know why this game and a lot of the new stuff Nintendo announced doesn't have a release date for this year, or this says 2026. And it really bugs me, because we don't have anything until June. Maybe there's like rumors that's going to be when the Switch 2 launches, and, you know, there'll be games there. Technically it could launch later, but we don't have anything for April, May, you know, and then right now June either. So, you know, we have like 2 or 3 months without nothing from Nintendo, and barely anything from third parties. We saw some stuff from some third parties, like 1 game or 2 games for April, and then another one for May. But it's so weird. Like, why I don't understand why not have something there, like a port. Like, why was there no Twilight Princess, Wind Waker, ports, Metroid Prime 2 or 3, Kirby. There's no new Kirby thing again. Maybe we'll see it for the Switch 2 event, but still, I was like expecting like, Kirby something, there was like rumors of Planet Robobot. It's all of these, I mentioned for my predictions and that short. I was fully expecting at least some of them, and we got none of them. I just wanted something to fill in the gap between now and the Switch 2 release date, which might be happening June, though we don't know for sure. If it's later than that, that's even more of a reason why we should have something between, now and then. But enough ranting, it just bugs me. But anyway, technically we also got one other announcement, but it's not game related. That being a new app from Nintendo called Nintendo Today. It's out now. I downloaded it and it looks kind of interesting, I guess. You can get news on particular series, and one of the series is Xenoblade, which is pretty cool. I like how they're acknowledging the series, but besides that, it just seems like a way for Nintendo to get off of Twitter and share news directly. I don't know why they had to make another app for this. I think they could have just used the Switch Online app and like combined it. I think Nintendo Music is fine to stay on its own, but like with this and the Switch Online app, I feel like they could have been combined. But maybe that's just me. And like Nintendo has other apps too. They have the parental controls thing, the mobile stuff. Like, it's so weird. I think a lot of them could be merged together, but whatever, And that's it for all the announcements for this Direct, And yeah, it was, I don't know how to feel about it. Going back to the Nintendo Today thing, they brought on Miyamoto, and I was like, is he going to talk about Mario Movie 2, or is he going to retire or something? Nope, it was just this. So that was weird. Anyway, going back to what I was originally saying, this Direct was fine, I guess. I don't know. I think when I did the reaction live stream for it, I said like 7 or 6 out of 10. Honestly, I think I'm going to say 6. Like, it's not bad. It's not bad, but I don't think it's good because, we didn't get a lot of solid release dates, and the ones we did are, like, way later in the year or till next year. Like, why? Why not have something for now, for May, or June or April? Like, why not have something? It's so weird to me that they don't. But there were some cool surprises, of course. Rhythm Heaven, the Sony properties coming back, Tomodachi Life, like those are pretty big stuff, and I'm happy they're returning. But at the same time, why aren't they sooner? I don't know. Let me know what you think of this Direct in the comments. Do you think I completely off base, that this was the best Direct ever, or I should have lowered my expectations? I get that, because again, a week for me recording this is the Switch 2 event, but at the same time, why have this so close to it? I'm just going to cover everything I can right now, including everything that was sewn off in the Direct and some of the stuff that was announced after it, at least that I know of so far. Honestly, it's a crazy time to be a Nintendo fan. This is my first ever Nintendo console launch, because I kind of was aware of the Switch 1 when it was coming out, but I didn't really experience it. I wasn't that big into games like I am now, so it's cool to experience it and to share it with you guys. And it's also cool to go from not knowing really anything about the Switch 2, there were leaks, but nothing official from Nintendo, to knowing a lot of stuff, So yeah, let's just get right into it. So I'm looking at a Nintendo Life article, and they're going to go over every single thing in chronological order. So to start things off, we got Mario Kart World, which comes out June 5th, which also is when the Switch 2 launches. This game looks really good. It looks very open. They're gonna have like a Nintendo Direct for this game in particular. Definitely gonna be reacting to it. I hope there's like a story mode. There's like a free roam thing. I feel like there's gotta be a story mode because of that, right? They have a lot of weird characters. Like, you got the Moo Moo Meadows cow, Goomba, Fishbone. Got a lot of weird characters, and it's really cool stuff, honestly. Yeah, The only thing that's weird is this wasn't talked about in the direct, but it's apparently $80 digitally and maybe $90 physically. I'm not sure about that one, but at least it's $80 digitally. And it's so annoying. I made a whole YouTube short kind of complaining about the prices because Nintendo really didn't talk about them in this direct, you know, and I'm kind of annoyed because it would have clarified things more easier because it's all like random, you know, like what the heck? The prices of things are like scattershot, like what's the correct price? Is it fully confirmed? You know, it's just annoying. And yeah, $80 is really steep, you know, so annoying, but you know, at least the game looks cool. So next up we got game chat detailed, which looked cool in the sense of how it functioned, how it looked. It looked really bad. Like it was like 10 FPS, you know, it was like very laggy, you know, it was so funny, you know, and the Switch 2 is more powerful, you know, it has 4K and HDR and all that stuff that they talked about in a little bit, but like it still looks bad, the stuff with like the video, I don't know, but at least it's cool. It's a step up for Nintendo to you know, finally embrace online after they kind of neglected it. You know, because it was weird, like on Wii U it was more accepting of online, then they took a step back, and then now they're taking a big step forward finally, so that's good. They also showed off that with the game chat thing, they have a camera thing, which is kind of cool. It's kind of how I imagine the Switch 2 would be like with a sensor bar. Maybe they could do that as well, you know, have it plug into the top USB port. But having the camera there is still cool. I kind of wish it was a built-in camera on the Switch, but you know, it's still cool. Yeah. And then we got Game Share, which is basically the download play from the DS. Although it's weird that it's only for some games you need to update them. I guess it makes sense because it wasn't intended with the original Switch in particular. But it's kind of weird still that they need to update these to allow it. And then they talked about new console features. We also got a game thing of Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour also comes out launch day. And it's weird because this is a paid thing. Why? It should be free. It should be like Astro's Playroom. I think I saw something where it's gonna be $10 at least in Japan, which, you know, it might vary, especially because the Switch 2 is very cheap in Japan. And well, you know, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but maybe it'll be like $10 here, but it should be free. Like, come on, Nintendo. And then they talked about game card and SD card information, which they said that micro SD express cards are required. The regular micro SD cards we already have in our Switch won't work because faster speeds. I wish there was a nods on the Switch 2 cartridge. There isn't. It's just red. It's kind of disappointing, but whatever, you know. Also, there was something that came out after this where they said how there's like a different version of the game card where it's basically like Sony and Xbox do, where, you know, it's like the disc is a key, you know, and then you download the rest of it. That's basically what a version of the Switch 2 card is. There's still versions that like have the full game in, so okay. Then we finally got some news on the Switch 2 Pro controller. The C button is weird. It's at the bottom. I would have thought it would have been at the top, you know, in between the home button and screenshot button, or slightly down from that. I don't know why it's like all the way down. I don't know. And but there's also like triggers on the back. You can map stuff. So there's that. Switch 2 edition games. There's going to be some games that have like new content, you know, stuff like Mario Party Jamboree, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, although that new content is only on the phone, which is kind of weird. Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Metroid Prime 4. Like, a lot of these are like, have some sort of new content in them, or at least have more extensive features, like frame rate boost. But I did see that there are going to be free upgrades as well for some games, and I think those will have like, it will just be more like, oh, it will run a bit better and it will be smoother, you know, but these add like at least some sort of new content. You know, these paid ones, I don't know how much they're going to cost. We don't know yet. Maybe we'll find out by the time this video comes out. I'm gonna hope for $10, but knowing Nintendo, it's gonna be like 20 or 30. I don't know. I did see that, you know, they're gonna repackage these games like for Switch 2. And apparently some of them are going to be $80. So that kind of makes me think, yeah, it's going to be 20. Oh my god. Anyway, next up we got Drag X Drive, however you say it, summer 2025. Kind of reminds me of like a handicap version of Rocket League. So yeah, it uses the mouse thing. Next we got Elden Ring Tarnished Edition 2025. This includes the Shadow of the Erdtree expansion, the main game, new armor, and some sort of appearance thing. I don't know. Hades 2, I feel like we should see that for Switch 1 as well, but, you know, it's coming at some point. We don't know when, but at some point. Street Fighter 6 comes out on launch day for Switch 2. I don't understand the thing about the... Well, they're adding Amiibo, but they're adding some new stuff. But they're also doing something like some sort of other version. Yeah, 6 Years 1-2 Fighters Edition. So I don't know, it's interesting. We got Daemon Ex Machina Titanic Psychon, which I thought this looked like Xenoblade X. I'm like, is this Xenoblade X 2? I knew it wasn't, but it did look like it. So I think this game was already announced. I don't know, I heard people talk about it like it was already announced, so I don't know. Split Fiction coming the same day as Switch 2. EA Sports FC and Madden. NFL, I don't care, but you know, they're coming. Hogwarts Legacy is getting a Switch 2 version. So yeah, and it's also adding like mouse controls, you know, improved visuals. Launch day for Switch 2. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4 also getting a Switch 2 version, even though it's already gonna come out to Switch July 11th. And then we got Hitman World of Assassination Signature Edition, which this was like a cloud game on Switch, so it's nice to see a native version comes out launch day. Project 007. I did not even know this was a thing. Apparently this was already announced like 4 years ago, but it's re-announced for that it's coming to Switch 2. So yeah. Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD Remaster comes out launch day. This game is weird because it's like 11 gigabytes or something, but it's coming in like that Switch 2 cartridge where, you know, it's like a verification disc thing, which is weird because I would think those would only be there for games that are like a lot of gigabytes, like 64 gigabytes, which we'll talk about one game that will be like that later on. But this is 11. Why Square Enix Yakuza 0 Director's Cut? This is like new stuff added, so interesting. Comes out launch day. There's a lot of launch day stuff, and it's kind of annoying. It's kind of reminds me of like what Wii U, you know, because they were like, oh, the Wii was successful, the Wii U will be too. So they had like 20 or something games on launch day and then nothing else. I'm kind of worried, you know, that, you know, because a lot of these games are like on launch, you know, they're not spreading them out. You know, I'm worried that we're not going to get a lot of new original stuff in the first year. But, you know, maybe we'll learn more. Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment Winter 2025. Apparently, there was something where this is actually canon. This is like an actual canonical thing. Unlike Age of Calamity. I will see, like, it was something in like an article. I'm kind of wondering if that really is the case. You know, because they said the same thing for Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, like, oh, experience the events, you know, of the past, you know, and they changed it. So I'm kind of worried, but I don't really care that much. Like, I do, but like, the Age of Calamity was really fun. The original Hyrule Warriors was also very fun. I'm sure this is going to be very fun too, you know, but I would like it to be actually canon. Anyway, we got Switch Online GameCube library. This is going to be added to the expansion pack. I wonder if the expansion pack will be price increased. I was thinking if they would add GameCube, they would be in like a third thing, like super expansive pack. But no, they're just adding that to the expansion pack, which makes me kind of wonder if they're going to increase the prices. Anyway, we got 3 games coming at launch with the Switch 2. I wish there were more. I don't know why. It's Wind Waker. Guys, we finally got Wind Waker on Switch, kind of. It's not the HD one, and it's not on the original Switch, but we got Wind Waker. Soul Calibur 2, which has Link, and then F-Zero GX, which is the only F-Zero game I have not played, at least right now. So, And then we also saw other games that are going to be coming too, like Mario Sunshine, Luigi's Mansion, Mario Strikers. Pretty cool, but I wish there were more games at launch. Deltarune Chapter 3 and 4 comes out June 5th. Again, launch day. Pretty cool, surprising. I wonder how much it's going to cost, because wasn't 1 and 2 were like free. I wonder how much it's going to cost. Maybe $20, I don't know. Borderlands 4 is coming to Switch at some point. I don't know if it's going to be coming out same time as it launches, like with the other platforms, like on September, I think. I don't know. Also, when the guy popped up, apparently lots of people don't like this guy. I don't know why. I'm sure he did something bad, but lots of people did not like when the guy popped up to talk about the Borderlands 4. We got Civilization 7 getting a Switch 2 version. Comes out, of course, launch day. Then we got WWE 2K and NBA 2K coming to Switch at some point. Survival Kids comes out on launch day. And also, I forgot to mention, it was weird because this Direct had issues, at least in America. Like, it was like it crashed. Like even before that, it was like lagging the voices. I'm not completely sure if it was like only me. I don't think so. I thought it was me for the longest time, but then it like froze at this part when they were showing off the Survival Kids game. And I saw the chat on the Nintendo live stream, and it was frozen for everyone. And I saw some reactions that were like, what the heck, Nintendo? So I think the like slight delay throughout the most of this whole stream was not just me, but I don't know. Anyway, so I kind of stopped here and I had to go back and see what was announced, because they did say like, oh, Enter the Gungeon 2, this is the next game coming for Switch 2. They said that, but then there were like something like Star Seeker, which is going to come out 2026. I did not see that game at all. I had to go back. Cyberpunk 2077, I did not see that. Comes out launch day. And also, this is the game where, it's like 64 gigabytes, and they're using that cartridge where it's the online verification thing. Okay, and then Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade is coming to Switch, and I did not see this at all either. I saw the very end of it, and I'm like, oh, okay. But like, because it was all in Japanese, like person talking, so I couldn't understand it. So yeah, and then it stopped freezing here, so we're good now. Also, it doesn't have a release date for Final Fantasy VII Remake, but I'm sure it'll be soon. We got Kenzugami Path of the Goddess comes out launch day. Capcom game. Is this the game that's on like Game Pass? I don't know. Hollow Knight Silk Song, baby, comes out 2025, and it looked like they showed off the same footage as they did before, but we got a new release year. Watch it be delayed again. Story of Seasons, Grand Bazaar comes out August 27th. This is a Switch 2 version, right? Because this was already announced on the current Switch, right? I think. Good Night Universe 2025. 2 Point Museum 2025. Which again, I think a lot of these are, Switch 1 games as well. Wild Hearts S comes out July 25th. Witch Book comes out holiday 2025. Again, that was shown off in the recent Direct. Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S comes out June 5th. I wonder if they're gonna have anything, new there. Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma, which I think it comes out launch day. I think this is the game that ran like horribly on Switch, so it's good to see them come out with a better version. Marvel Capcom Invasion Holiday 2025. This was shown off in the recent Direct. Star Wars Outlaws 2025. We got Nubagas Abyssin Awakening Complete Edition. Comes out launch day. Okay. Fast Fusion. They showed this off briefly. Comes out launch day. It's like an F-Zero kind of inspired game, right? Shadow Labyrinth, July 18th. Already announced for Switch. Roto Remastered The Mystery of the Soulless Army. This was in the recent Switch 1 Direct. No Sleep for Kamadata from AI, the Salmon Files, also coming to Switch 2. Animal, I don't know, comes out 2025. Fortnite comes out June 5th, 2025. Hype. Of course, we expect Fortnite. Anyway, also, this Nintendo Life article has like some of the screenshots like flipped. Like they have Fortnite, but they have the Silk Song thing. And then for the Silk Song thing, they had the Civilization screenshot instead. Anyway, Arcade Archives 2 Ridge Racer comes out launch day. Professor Layton and the New World of Steam. I remember seeing this in the Direct. I don't know, maybe because it was in the sizzle reel. Tomogatsu Plaza, I did see comes out June 27th. And again, these are all like Switch 1 games, but they're getting versions on Switch 2. Human Fall Flat 2, I did not know, I don't know, was this announced already? I don't know, I never heard that they were making a sequel until this Direct, but comes out at some point, we don't know when. The Dusk Bowl Bloods, this is a new FormSoft game exclusive to the Switch 2. It's a multiplayer type thing. I thought it looked like Elden Ring and Bloodborne. And it's a new thing, you know, by those same people. So it's kind of cool. But now we got the last few announcements here, which is a pretty exciting one. Kirby Air Riders coming in 2025. It's a sequel to Kirby Air Ride, which is a thing people loved, you know, especially the like battle mode, city, whatever it was. I saw people talk about it a lot, you know, on YouTube, and it's cool to see a new, you know, game. And, you know, it's also really cool that it's coming out the same year as Mario Kart. It's like Nintendo finally realizes, oh, Mario Kart doesn't have to be our only kart racer, you know, that's really cool stuff. Yeah, and it's being made by Masahiro Sakurai, which he kind of teased, you know, that he was working on something. And then lastly, at least for the Direct, we got Donkey Kong Bonanza, comes out July 17th. And this game looks really cool. It looks really good. Like, it looks like there's so much options. It's a 3D Donkey Kong game, finally, after Donkey Kong 64, which was not the best game from what I hear. It's cool to see a new one, and it's cool to see a new Donkey Kong game in general. You know, there's been a lot of ports, you know, of like Donkey Kong Country Returns, you know, Tropical Freeze over and over again. It's nice to see something new. The only problem I have with this game is that I don't like the way DK looks. I actually didn't mind how he looked in Mario Kart, you know, maybe because we only saw him a little bit in the Mario Kart thing, and in this game we saw him up close. I don't like how he looks. I like how he is expressive a lot, but the facial movements look weird. I don't know, but this game still looks cool. I wonder if it's being made by the Mario like Odyssey people, you know, like the main 3D Mario developers. I think we will still see a new 3D Mario game at some point in the near future. I was kind of expecting that for this Direct, but, you know, Donkey Kong is really cool, you know, and we haven't had one in a while. I would still like some new hecking, you know, 3D Mario, so. And then this article talks about the pricing for the Switch 2. There's like one that's like with the Switch 2 by itself for $450. The bundle with Mario Kart World is $500. And then like for some reason in Japan it's like $350 American, but they're like, oh, so you don't buy it cheaper. They have like a region lock version of Japan, and it's kind of dumb. And then like there's other things where like they talked about other pricing, which I talked about in a short. Again, I recorded you know, before I made this video. It came out first, you know, if you want to check that out. You know, I went over the pricing stuff already for the most part, although we still don't know, at least as I'm, you know, still recording this, we don't know the cost of the upgrades for the Switch 2 edition games. Maybe it's going to be $10, I don't know. There was also pricing for controllers and stuff that I did not mention. God, I wish I could find it real quick, but it was like basically the Pro controller was like $75, I think, and then Joy-Cons were like 80 something. I don't know, it's like a little bit higher than the Switch 1 controllers and stuff. An extra dock is like close to like 100 or something, which a lot of these are similar to the Switch 1 prices already, but it's just slightly more expensive, which is annoying. There's still a lot of stuff that is expensive, and I'm like, why Nintendo? A lot of people are like saying maybe it's because of the tariffs thing going on in like America, especially because they announced new tariffs today. But they're also really expensive in Europe. In fact, I think technically Europe has them more expensive. Australia also has it pretty expensive. Canada, like it's basically everywhere except Japan. And Japan, they're like, oh, you can't import it because, you know, they're gonna have a specific region lock version. And it's just so, like, why Nintendo? Like, I feel like this is really bad because it's like Nintendo's version of what Sony went through with the PS2, where they got arrogant. You know, the console was really expensive, the games weren't. This is like the opposite, where the games are more expensive, but the console really isn't. Like, it's 450 or 500. I think that's a little bit too much, but it's not like that bad. We were expecting that around that price range. I would have preferred 400, but whatever. But you know, it's still annoying, and I am worried that Nintendo is getting too arrogant and that this will bite them in the butt. You know, because the Switch 1 was a huge success, it's like the #2 best-selling console, you know, behind the PS2. You know, Nintendo thinks they could charge more, you know, and I don't think it's going to end up being super good for them. I think they'll make a lot of money, but they could have gotten more money if they priced it cheaper, you know, and the reason they would still get money, you know, and to some extent they will get away with this, even though I think they could make more if it was cheaper, is because Nintendo fans are very defensive. They love to defend Nintendo because they're like the best video game company ever. They do no wrong when they do. You know, I like Nintendo, but they have issues, you know, and it's just, I don't like the president that Nintendo is doing, you know. It's very annoying. But, you know, besides the costing stuff, which they didn't even talk about, when they easily could have, you know, they could have cut out some of the time of the voice chat thing, because I think we saw too much of that in particular, and spent a little bit of time on the cost of certain things. But you know, that's like one small issue in the grand scheme of things. Overall, this direct was pretty good. You know, we got some, you know, hardware stuff with like HDR, 4K confirmed, and of course the games, you know, which look pretty cool. But again, the pricing kind of really sours it. Before we go, they did reveal the Switch 2 box art, which I don't really like. Apparently a decent amount of people like it. I don't. I think there's a lot of too much red, like too much empty space. I don't really like it, you know? I wish they just had a similar thing for the Switch 1 box art, but like maybe move the thing from the top left corner to the top right corner and maybe make it, I don't know, make it a different shade of red or something. Like yeah, you can tell that these are Switch 2 games, you know, they don't look like Switch 1 game cases, but like it just looks weird. It's like a lot of empty space. I liked how minimal the Switch 1 cases were. Like, I don't know, but yeah, overall, again, pretty good direct. You know, disappointed about the cost stuff, which is probably why they didn't put in the direct, because it would have really soured it. It does still sour the event, but it would have really soured it if they, you know, talked about the pricing, you know, there. But I still think you should have, because it's so important to be clear and concise, you know, to consumers, Nintendo. I don't know why, because it was like, it's so confusing to see like, oh, this is the price of this, and this was all coming out at different hours, you know, what's the pricing for different things, and I still don't even know if the $90 thing for physical games is confirmed. Like, I don't know, it's just so scattershot, and I wish Nintendo confirmed it directly in the direct itself, you know, because, you know, everyone would know and understand directly from Nintendo. But, you know, overall, good thing. I am excited for Switch 2. I don't know when I'll be able to pick it up. You know, I'm thinking a lot of people, because of the pricing stuff, are not going to be able to pick it up or don't want to pick it up on launch day. I think I do want to pick it up on launch day. I think there's a decent amount of stuff like Mario Kart and of course GameCube that I do want to try, you know, and also the better graphics versions of like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. Oh, and also I don't remember, did I say this already? I believe it is confirmed. I did see something where I think it is actually confirmed by Nintendo. I think I saw something that was a rumor at first, or again, it was so scattershot. But anyway, I saw that you know, the Switch 2 versions of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, they're gonna be free for expansion pack Switch Online people, so that's neat. Like, I want to try out all these stuff, you know, and I think it could be fun to do it on the channel. but I would need money. You know, one way would be to sell my current Switch, but I would still need a lot of money after that. I don't know, I could always like donate blood or go to a pawn shop. I don't know, I'll figure it out. You know, I'll try to get it on launch day. You know, I'm excited for the Switch 2, but I can't help but be a little bit disappointed about the prices, you know. Let me know what you thought of this Direct. I don't actually think I rated it in the live stream I did. I would probably rate the Direct on its own maybe 8 out of 10, maybe. I feel like it could have been higher if they showed off more games spread out. You know, like we got a decent amount of games, but they're all like coming out on like launch day or like around launch. You know, I wish they kind of talked about games that were coming out and like they dated them for you know, the rest of the year as well. And also I think some third parties were missing. I think they should have had you know, Persona 3 Reload there. But you know, overall it was still pretty good. Now in terms of the whole thing with the rollout of information, maybe like a 7 out of 10. I don't know, like the information rollout has kind of been, again, scattershot and insane. So yeah, not good in terms of that, but the directorship was pretty good. So I want to talk about that Mario Kart World Direct because it was not necessary at all. Now, this is not a new opinion. I've seen other people say the same thing, you know, so much so that I was considering, do I even make this video? But I wanted to make this video after the Direct aired before I saw anyone else's opinion, because I do strongly believe that, yeah, it sucks that this Direct did not really have any new information about this game, especially information that shows that it's worth $80, because people like Bill Trennan, Doug Bowser, they were like, oh, wait until the Mario Kart World Direct. We got some things to justify the $80 price point, and they didn't. So I kind of want to complain about it. So yeah, let's just get right into it, shall we? So yeah, the Direct itself, it wasn't bad by any means. I see some people say that it was bad and made them not want the game. The Direct itself was actually pretty good, I feel. But the problem was it didn't really show off anything new besides some small things. Most of it was recap of what we saw from either the initial trailer or from the treehouse. Now we did see again some new stuff. We kind of got details on how the costumes work in the game, how you unlock outfits. We kind of knew this already, but we got verbal confirmation, which is good. We also got an announcement of the charge jump thing, which seems pretty cool. You kind of always wanted like a jump button in Mario Kart. We kind of had one. We could hop a little bit, but this is like more, an actual jump, which is really cool, especially because it's Mario. The series is known for jumping, so it's nice to see that implemented in Mario Kart. We also saw a rewind feature they can use offline, and it's cool that while you can rewind, everyone else in the race goes forward. So it's not like you're at an advantage where you just rewind easily and everything rewinds. It's only you, so that's pretty cool. And then we kind of saw stuff. This was kind of teased a little bit in, I think, the treehouse, with some screenshots of a mission mode type thing. Like we saw the peace switches, but we didn't really know what it meant. But now we do. It's like missions randomly throughout the world when you're in like free roam or whatever. And also we saw more of the free roam in itself, where you can go anywhere, like a Breath of the Wild type thing. So that's all cool, and that's kind of new. The only thing that's like new was really the charge shot and the rewind thing. I think those two are the only new things. Oh, actually, no, my bad. We did get confirmation of the Joy-Con 2 wheel. I wish that was bundled in with the physical version of Mario Kart to justify the $80. But we got that. That was completely new information. And also, we saw battle mode, which I actually got concerned when we saw it because the tracks look really big, which makes sense because there's 24 players. But I was thinking they look like race tracks, and I was like, is this Mario Kart 8 like on Wii U again, where the battle mode sucks? It's just race tracks. It's not the case because there's returning battle mode courses, and yeah, I just got kind of concerned. But only 2 modes, like there's the coin runners and then there's balloon battle. that's it. Why no Sign Thief? Why no Renegade Roundup? I just have less battle modes than in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Why not something completely new? Like, why only have 2 battle modes? Like, oh my god. But that is also another new thing we did not see before, so I'm sorry for spreading the misinformation, but really it was like not that much new stuff, all things considered, like truly new at least. The other ones are kind of like verbal confirmation of stuff we kind of saw already, you know, but I still consider that new. But everything else in the Direct was basically everything we saw in the overview trailer or the treehouse. And that's kind of disappointing because this Direct really could have just been an overview trailer. And I see some people saying, like, defending Nintendo, saying like, oh, what did you expect from Mario Kart World, you know? Other Directs have been around this same time. And yeah, that's true. Like, you know, Mario Wonder was around 15 minutes, but that still had more information in it. And other big games like Splatoon 3, Xenoblade 3, Xenoblade 2, Smash Ultimate. A lot of big games for Nintendo had longer Directs, you know, 30, 20 minutes, 40 minutes for Smash Bros, you know, and I was expecting at least 20 minutes for this Direct because Nintendo is really positioning Mario Kart World to be a big game for the Switch 2. I mean, it's launched there day one. We've waited for a new Mario Kart for like 11 years now, you know, and also, you know, it's $80. A lot of people were expecting this to have like something hidden in this Direct, especially because, again, you know, executives, you know, like Doug Bowser or Bill Trinen were like, oh, you know, wait until the Direct, you know, we have a justification for the price, and we didn't see that at all, you know, and it really bugs me because again, this Direct, like, people are defending it, and I don't think it was bad at all, but really, you gotta pay attention to the other Directs Nintendo has done, and they've shown off, even if they were shorter, like, again, the Mario Wonder Direct, which was like the same amount of time, they showed off some new information, you know, more substantial than Mario Kart World, you know, while this really didn't. It showed, like, technically completely new stuff, like 2 things, you know, and the other ones that I mentioned were kind of new, were just like confirmation of things we already saw, like the outfits, how that worked, you know. And yeah, it just really bugs me that people still defend Nintendo, you know, and I don't blame people because Nintendo is a great company in terms of games, but in terms of their consumer practices, they are really, I mean, they kind of always been like this, but it's really taking a toll with the Switch 2, with this generation coming up. I mean, everything is expensive. The console is fine, but I think it could have been a little bit cheaper. But the accessories, like the camera, you know, that's expensive. The games are a whole nother level. Like, it just bugs me that people still defend Nintendo, you know, and they're like, oh, $80, you know, it's fine because, you know, I'm gonna play like this game for like 100 hours, you know, look at Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I played that game for so long. $80 is nothing, and that's not how pricing with games should work. I understand the viewpoint, you know, and I'm not like immune to it. I have also been like that before, where I'm like, oh, it's $60, but, you know, I only get like 10 hours of gameplay. I have been like that before, but I've come around to it far more recently, because if it's a, you know, a fun time and it's 10 hours, I'm fine paying like a $60 price, you know. But if it like just drags on forever and it's like $70, you know, I feel like, you know, I just like value those sort of experiences more, you know, nowadays, you know. And that's not to say that people don't have the right to justify pricing like that, but I don't think that should be the main thing, you know. I think you know, pricing should be standardized, you know, like it has been, but Nintendo is like trying to push the envelope for other games to be $80 or $90 or $100, you know, and that's really worrying for the future. You know, again, I've said this before, we're going backwards in terms of pricing. Pricing was higher in the 90s, although, again, it worked differently. People talk about inflation, but wages were different. They haven't adjusted for it. And, you know, there were cheaper games back in the 90s as well. It wasn't a standardized thing. But then they became standardized. But now it looks like we're going back to being kind of not standardized and having like random prices thrown out like for different games. And that's really annoying. It should just be one standard price, no matter if it's like a short game or a long game, you know, you know, a higher price point shouldn't be like, oh, it's going to be a lot of hours, you know, even though, again, I have been in that viewpoint before. That's not what people should be doing, you know. And to see Nintendo fans justify Nintendo doing this is just especially because, again, they didn't really have anything new to show off in this direct. In fact, I saw lots of people kind of disappointed with some of the confirmations, and I don't blame them. Like, we saw, again, how the outfits work, but it looks like in the menu that the outfits for the characters are going to be separate characters in the menu thing, which is really dumb. It's like a Mario Kart Tour situation where, you know, the costumes for Mario, they're all going to be separate characters. They're not all going to be just Mario, you know, and you select an outfit, you know, because we saw that with the menu thing where Mario and Luigi were like the first in the row, but then the costumes for Mario and Luigi were like in the middle, you know, which implies, you know, very much heavily implies that, you know, those costumes are separate characters. Otherwise, who would be in front of Mario and Luigi? You know, they're like the main guys. Like, oh my god, like, why Nintendo? Why do this? And I think there's like the rows showed like maybe 150 characters, quote unquote, but it's gonna be like a lot of them just gonna be alternate costumes, and that's really annoying, you know. Oh my god, why Nintendo? And I wanted to see some new stuff or returning stuff like for this game. Like, for example, I don't think we've seen if there's like underwater sections. Now I haven't seen the treehouse like gameplay or whatever, so maybe it's in there, but I haven't seen if there's like underwater sections, if that's returning. Anti-gravity is like, I don't think it's returning, but it also kind of looks like it is because of the gameplay that was shown off. We can like go on the sides of the track, you know, kind of seems like anti-gravity, but I didn't see the effects, so I don't know what's going on there. I wish we saw that confirmation. Also, I am one of those people that like the non-Mario characters in Mario Kart. I don't think Mario Kart should become Smash Kart. I think they could do that as its own separate game, but I do like seeing the like Splatoon characters, Zelda characters in Mario Kart, and I wish we saw them in this game. Like, I appreciate having like a bunch of random enemies be playable, you know, that's pretty cool. Very, you know, out of left field, but I like that. But I do want to see some actual characters, or heck, you know, stick to Mario and give us actually like the RPG characters, you know. I want to see some real ones and not just random enemies. Even though the random enemies are cool, have more than those guys, you know. And also, I just really don't like the fact that there's back to like 32 tracks in this game. Now, to be fair, the tracks are longer. There's like transitions, which I don't even know how the transitions work. Like, was that shown off in the treehouse? I don't know. And I'll talk about another problem I have with this direct, but yeah, I don't know how about the treehouse, if it showed off that, but I wish we saw it here, how the transitions work between the tracks for the people that didn't see the treehouse, if it was there. And that's the other problem that, you know, I mentioned. Not everyone saw the treehouse, so I was kind of hoping that this direct would be longer to, one, talk a little bit about what was shown off in the treehouse for people that didn't watch it, such as myself, and also show off a bunch of new information. But even though I didn't really watch the treehouse, you know, I saw some things here and there, I still knew a lot about the information for the direct. So yeah, that's crazy. So yeah, that's another problem I have with this direct, you know. Again, very unnecessary, even for people like me who didn't see the treehouse. But yeah, going back to my main point, I wish that there were more tracks, you know, and again, they're more detailed and whatever, but it just feels like a really darn shame that it's not at least like 48 tracks, you know. After Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, you know, which had 48 tracks at launch. I know there were 32 tracks, you know, when Mario Kart 8 came out on Wii U, but, you know, most people's experience with Mario Kart 8 was the 48 tracks, and then now we have double that, 96. You know, that's a whole lot of tracks, and yeah, again, they're detailed, but it feels like a step backwards for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in particular. It just sucks to be back to 32 tracks, you know, and I'm sure they're gonna do DLC or something. Hopefully it's free, because if it's paid DLC for an $80 game, oof. But you know, I'm hoping there's gonna be DLC, like free stuff. Maybe they could do like a Splatoon thing where they update it with new stuff, you know, every quote-unquote season, which is like every couple of months. That'll be kind of neat. And they could also do the characters from Zelda, you know, Splatoon. I'm still holding out hope for like a Xenoblade character. That would be really cool. But yeah, I mean, that's all just speculation. You know, for the main game in itself, it looks like this is it, and that's kind of disappointing, you know. Not to say that this game looks bad or it looks awful, or, you know, anything like that. In fact, this direct made me realize that this game looks really good. Like, it looks great, you know, the how everything gets involved in the environment, the effects, like, that's really cool. I really like how this game looks a lot, but it just feels like Mario Kart again. And, you know, Mario Kart is great, but I was hoping for something new. I was really hoping for something like an adventure mode, like Diddy Kong Racing or Crash Team Racing. Have like a story mode. You know, they kind of have it again with the mission mode thing, but like it's just like an expanded version of Mario Kart DS's stuff in an open world setting. I was kind of hoping for more, like a next bigger leap for Mario Kart, but it doesn't look like that's the case. And I would think they would show that off in a direct, but they didn't. So yeah, it kind of sucks, to be honest. I really don't think this direct was necessary at all. This could have been an email. This could have been an overview trailer. And I don't see why people are defending it. You know, again, I don't think the game looks bad. I'm definitely going to get the game eventually. Of course, I need money first to get the Switch 2. But I'm going to, you know, try to get it as soon as possible along with Mario Kart. Probably the bundle. So it's $30 cheaper. And that's also another thing. People are justifying, like, oh, just get the bundle, you know. It's $30 cheaper. Yeah, it is. But it's still the precedent of $80 games that Nintendo is setting for the standard price. And also that bundle is limited until fall, you know, and it might not even be around for the holidays, you know, for Christmas, which is a big thing. So yeah, overall, this direct, very unnecessary, you know, and it's not an opinion that's exclusive to me. Other people feel this way. But I wanted to make this video after the direct, even though I didn't see other people talk about it. And then when I did, I was like, do I even want to cover it now because other people are saying it? But I do, because I'm really passionate about it. I try to have like a unique spin on my videos to, you know, show off something new, like a different viewpoint. But I share the same opinion with others, which I don't think is a bad thing, you know. I really am disappointed in Nintendo, especially as of late with a lot of things. Their communication has been really awful lately. You know, the pricing, people are also mad about like, oh, why did you think they were like $90 games? And I did think they were like $90 games too, but Nintendo wasn't clear about it in the Switch 2 Direct. And now with this Direct, they weren't really clear on why it's $80 this game in the first place. You know, Nintendo's, you know, communication is all out of whack. So my whole point being, I hope people vote with their wallets on this, you know, so that Nintendo needs to change their practices as of late. I'm hoping that's gonna happen because people are saying drop the price, especially the like live chat thing. You know, I kind of doubt it will work, but you know, we can change Nintendo. We've done it before with the 3DS. We can do it, guys. Come on. Donkey Kong Bananza looked great. In fact, the Direct itself was way better than the Mario Kart World Direct. Although I do have some questions about what's going on with like the timeline or whatever. But let's talk about all of that in more detail, shall we? So yeah, the Direct was pretty good. I was going into it with very low expectations, again, after that Mario Kart World Direct, which only had like a few new things, like the battle mode being revealed, and that's it, really. I think we saw some items, but I think they was already kind of teased in like the treehouse or whatever, which I didn't see. But it was a lot of recap of what we already saw. But with this Direct, for Donkey Kong Bonanza. I'm sure there was some stuff that was shown off in the treehouse, which I again didn't see, just because I didn't really have any interest in spoilers, via the treehouse, even though I do find it interesting and cool that Nintendo does play the games, in an extended view. But I know there was still a lot of stuff that we did not see, or at least didn't really know it was real until this direct. Like, we saw something about Pauline, which we'll talk more about how, what the heck is going on there. But we saw, like, an image of, like, a younger Pauline, that leaked out. But we didn't know if that was, like, real or what was going on there. It was, like, from one Nintendo branch, in some other country. But we've got a full reveal here of Pauline. And, yeah, this game overall looks great. I really like everything about it. It reminds me a lot of Mario Odyssey, but better in a lot of ways. I mean, they're doing a lot of what made Mario Odyssey great, but just building upon it, such as costumes giving you different stats, which is something Mario Odyssey didn't do. It had costumes, but it did give you different stats. They're also giving you a skill tree, which Mario Odyssey didn't do. And also, it seems like you're going to have far more like voice acting in this game because of Pauline and more musical stuff going on. Which Mario Odyssey, did have 2 musical songs in it, both sung by Pauline, Jump Up Superstar, and the ending song, I can't remember, Escape something. But yeah, those were there, but besides that, there was no like voice acted cutscenes or other voice acted songs, but it seems like Donkey Kong Bonanza is going to have far more of that, which is really cool. It's still not full voice acting, which is kind of weird in my opinion. Like, it's kind of weird to have Pauline be the only one talking like English and then have the other characters be like, like apes or something. I kind of feel like have it one way or another. Like have it be all voice acting or have it be all non-voice acting, Don't do both, but I digress. Overall, it's still cool. Again, I still am so happy that Donkey Kong is getting a 3D game in like the first time in a while. First Donkey Kong game in general in a while. And also, a lot of people dislike Donkey Kong 64. I haven't played it yet. Hopefully they add it to the Switch Online service soon enough, maybe to celebrate Donkey Kong Bonanza. But, I hear a lot of people think that game is kind of mixed to like bad, kind of depends. So maybe for some people this will be the first good 3D Donkey Kong game, Overall, it looks so good. Like, good enough that I kind of feel like this is a potential Game of the Year contender. It's possible. It looks really good. Although, there have been some great games coming out, this past year, such as Expedition 33, which is a great time. Play like 10 hours of it. Still need to continue it, but it's great. I don't know if it will top that. And that seems like it's going to be like, at least up there for the Game of the Year nominees. But, at least with this direct, I can see the potential, I'm really excited for it. And this direct, again, it had a lot of new stuff that we didn't know about before. And it exceeded my expectations, compared to the Mario Kart World Direct. I was expecting nothing at all, and it blew my expectations away. Although it does raise me questions such as with Pauline, because, she's young. She's apparently 13 from what a Nintendo article said. Although she doesn't look 13, she looks more like a 6, 7, maybe an 8-year-old. But, I digress, whatever. 13, and this makes no sense at all because, well, first of all, it causes a lot of problems with the fact that Donkey Kong before has been in love with Pauline, and she was an adult. And also the history with Donkey Kong, with Mario and Pauline for the original arcade game. Although there was the thing with Cranky Kong being the original DK, like what's going on there. And I know I've seen a lot of people confused, but also seen a lot of people say, why do you care about the timeline? And usually I don't. I'm usually one to not care about the timeline for even Zelda games, but especially Mario. Like, I just think the timeline, it doesn't matter for the most part. But it's hard to ignore something like background details when Pauline, has become so prominent, and was prominent in, the original first, technically, Mario series game, and to see her young when we never seen her that way before, that's kind of harder to ignore than something like, oh, why is Mario and Bowser and Peach all hanging out and like go-karting in golf, you know, when they're enemies, you know, what's going on there? You know, I don't care about that. I know there's like an explanation by Miyamoto about them being in like a play or something. I don't really consider that real to some extent. Like, I just think it's who cares? Like, I find that, like, you know, I can easily ignore. But when it's something like this prominent with a major character, you know, and we've seen her be, you know, this age for a while, it just leaves me confused, especially because, you know, is this game like a prequel? You know, before I was thinking I like the idea of maybe this current Donkey Kong that we have now was Donkey Kong Jr. grown up, because the rare DK was Donkey Kong the Third, you know, which was the grandson of Cranky Kong. So I was thinking maybe this newer Donkey Kong, you know, that they, with the new design, was Donkey Kong Jr. grown up. But then, you know, how does that make sense with Pauline? And also, Cranky Kong and also Diddy Kong and Dixie Kong are in the game. I did a reaction to this direct, and I did not notice Dixie Kong and Diddy Kong, but they are in the game. You could see them in like a few seconds of like a Rambi mini game type thing. But yeah, like they're all their current ages, you know. So what's going on there? Like, is the Donkey Kong gang? Did they go back in time, or is Pauline from the past? You know, or did they make her younger for some reason? She wasn't a rock thing, which, by the way, rip that rock. That seemed like it was going to be an important thing. And nope, it's just Pauline. So, classic bait and switch Nintendo. I give you props. But yeah, that rock thing, maybe it has something to do with Pauline. Maybe she, you know, they pulled her from the past, or she got younger and she forgot her memories or something. To some extent, I feel like this is going to be some sort of prequel, though. You know, whether or not, like, it is, like, changing the backstory of Pauline to make her, you know, always have this adventure with DK, although that will cause a lot of problems, you know, again, with DK later on, being in love with her grown up. But whether, you know, they retcon that or what, I do think it is some sort of prequel because of the fact that Mario Odyssey, you know, we saw New Donk City, and it had a lot of references to Donkey Kong, which kind of didn't make sense, you know, because of the history with Donkey Kong and Pauline. You know, you think they would be like mortal enemies, you know, after being kidnapped by him multiple times. But, you know, maybe because she, you know, had the experience of growing up with the Donkey Kong, you know, a new one, and not the original one, she appreciates him more. I don't know. I'm making like a big deal out of this, and I do think they will explain it to some extent. Some people are like, oh, Nintendo doesn't care, they won't explain it. First of all, have you not seen Donkey Kong? Mario, with the Mario series, you know, with Mario Odyssey, with 3D World, you know, the main Mario games, Nintendo doesn't care about the continuity. But with Donkey Kong, it's a little bit different with Nintendo. There's actual continuity going on, you know, in the Donkey Kong series. I mean, there's Wrinkly Kong, which she was like alive in the SNES games, and then she died, and then she appeared as a ghost in Donkey Kong 64 and Barrel Blast. Dixie Kong's sister, Tiny Kong, right? She grew up, she was like a little kid in Donkey Kong 64, and then she became like a teenager in Barrel Blast. And then, of course, it is heavily, you know, talked about in especially the SNES games. But even we saw a clip of Cranky Kong in this game somewhere. I don't know where it came from, but I know it's from this game. Maybe some, you know, news that came out after the direct aired. But he did mention Mario, you know, like it's mentioned that he faced Mario before Jumpman, you know, in the arcade, and he was that Donkey Kong, you know. So there is continuity in the Donkey Kong games, especially. You know, maybe for the Mario games, it's kind of like, Nintendo doesn't care. But there is some sort of thing going on. So I do think there will be an explanation for this, you know. And to see some people say, like, oh, you shouldn't care about the timeline is kind of annoying. Because usually I am like, yeah, who cares? This is fun, silly games about apes, monkeys, plumbers, whatever. But this feels a little bit different, in my opinion. And I do think they'll explain it to some extent. Even if it says, hey, time travel, whoop-de-doo. You know, at least it's something, you know. It could be as the laziest solution ever, like what happened with Yoshi's New Island, I think. Some sort of Yoshi game where they were like, oh, suddenly from space-time, Bowser appears out of nowhere, you know. That explains it, even though it's lazy as heck. Or it could be, you know, more complicated, like, hey, this is what happened with the story. But either way, this game still looks cool, and it does seem like it is going to have more prominent of a story, like I said, with the voice acting, and with Pauline being here. I'm pretty excited, for like a Mario series game to have a decent bit of story and still be great in terms of the platforming, in terms of the mechanics. Like those transformations, like they look sick. Like one of them is like a gliding thing, like, I don't know, Link, in Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and you could run as like a zebra, which is so weird to see Donkey Kong transform into other animals. It's kind of cursed, but in a good way. I don't know how to explain it. But like that, the secret special areas, which is all references to like the classic Donkey Kong Country games, or even the arcade games, like it all looks so good, and it's like all gonna come together, which leaves me so hyped. It really feels like they're taking elements of the past Donkey Kong games, some Mario games like Mario Odyssey, and even some other, Nintendo games. Like, it looked like there was the chasms, from Tears of the Kingdom in this game. Like, it's just like all, again, coming together. Even something like, the 2-player mode, for Mario Odyssey is here, and it's at least a bit better than how it was in that game. Not like substantial, but at least it's better, like they're just really doing everything from different Nintendo games, putting it in here and making it better. Even if it's just to a minuscule degree, I applaud them for it. Even though I do have some slight concerns or questions about the story, I think that's on purpose. We're not supposed to know everything what's going on right now. I think we'll learn about it when the game comes out. Again, it very well feels like a Mario Odyssey spiritual sequel, although it could be like a Mario Odyssey prequel, technically speaking. But it has a lot of the same DNA as Mario Odyssey, for the most part at least, with some extra additions here and there from other games, like I mentioned before, which is really cool. I do wonder if this means we won't get a 3D Mario game for a while. I've seen some people say maybe they'll still have it out for this year or maybe next year. I don't know, to be honest. It could be that they only had half the team working on, this game, and the other half working on a new 3D Mario. And honestly, I'm fine with waiting for a 3D Mario, because we haven't had a Donkey Kong game in so long, especially a 3D one. But it's also been a while since Mario Odyssey. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see. But either way, I'm excited for this game. Even if we do have to wait a while for the next 3D Mario game, I'm okay with it, because this looks like it's gonna sustain my appetite, I guess you could say. It looks pretty cool. And also, there's music tracks, just like Mario Odyssey, and one of those is the Donkey Kong rap. So, never mind, I said this might be a Game of the Year contender. I think this is just gonna be Game of the Year because of that alone. I really can't wait to get it eventually. Probably not on release day, but it just looks so cool. I know I keep saying that, like I really do, but I can't help it. This game has a lot of personality, like the teleporting is not just teleporting. It actually is called teleporting, and there's a random eel or something that bites you and then like takes you to where you need to go. There's like mini games with like, like a Mario 64 type thing where you can monk around and create your own sculptures or whatever, which people are going to use that in inappropriate ways. But it's cool nonetheless. It's only $70, which is, I still think, a lot of money, but it's better than having it be an $80 game. Of course, I still need a Switch 2, which I might be getting right now as I'm recording this. It is Thursday. I'm going to be able to get the rest of the money I need today, and we're going to call GameStop to see if I can get it today or tomorrow, but they need to have stock in order for me to get it. Which there was some sort of news going on at GameStop about how there was like shipments that were stolen, like 3,000 of them, when they were on their way to Texas, which is where I live. Like originally the GameStops that I live near said that they would be able to have them by Thursday or Friday of this week, but because of that, they now say they don't know when they're gonna get more, so I might have to wait a little bit longer to get a Switch 2. But, at least I'll have the money. Basically, my point being, I still need a Switch 2 in order to play this game. But, overall, I'm excited for it. I probably, even when I get a Switch 2, I probably won't be able to get it, this game for, like, a while, because it is expensive. but maybe I'll ask for like Christmas or something. Or, you know, you can donate, become a YouTube or Patreon member, or do a super things for me to get more money to buy it. Hashtag always be plugging. But anyway, I apologize for being a bit like too rambly, you know, in this discussion video. It's just that this game has given me a lot of things to say, you know, about the timeline, about how good it looks, you know, the mechanics. It was kind of hard to put it together in one solid video, so I apologize. Pretty excited for Donkey Kong Bonanza. I'm curious about what the timeline, how does that make sense, but I think they'll explain it. You know, I think we should be patient. If they don't explain it in the game, you know, we can complain about it then, but I think they will, but we just gotta be patient. I want to go over every single game that was announced in it. Also, I will be briefly talking about the Japan exclusive games because there were like 2 that weren't featured in the North American Nintendo Direct, so we'll talk about them in a bit. But yeah, let's just get right into it. I'm going to be using Nintendo Life, which had a good rundown of every single game, at least in the North American side in this partner showcase. So yeah, starting things off, we had Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflection that comes out 2026. And when I saw this game, I thought it looked like Breath of the Wild. I mean, can you blame me? The opening had like the cliff thing. It had a guy in a blue shirt, like, and he was like diving down. You know, it does seem like Breath of the Wild, but overall it's cool to have another Monster Hunter Stories game. You know, a series that started on the 3DS. I've heard good things about this series, and I do like Monster Hunter. And from what I've seen of this game and the other 2 games, they look pretty cool. You know, I definitely want to get 1 and 2 at some point, especially in preparation for this 3rd game. But yeah, overall pretty hyped for some people, probably. And it looks interesting to me. Next up, we got Once Upon a Katamari, which comes out October 24th, 2025. This game kind of looked choppy to me. Like, it looked like, it's like running from the Switch 1, and like, it doesn't look the best. Although I haven't seen any people complain about it besides me, so I don't know. Usually I'm not a frame rate guy, but I just noticed this immediately. But whatever. It's cool to see another Katamari. I think it's like the first new one in like many years now. So pretty hyped for those fans. I definitely want to get into Katamari, you know, because again, I've heard good things about it, but I just don't have the time. Next up, we got Just Dance 2026 edition. Comes out October 14th, 2025, which is expected at this point. I don't really have much to say about Just Dance. I remember playing it like in like 2011 at a neighbor's house, and I had fun with it, but they just keep making it, and it clearly sells well, probably because of like the older audience. I mean, 2019, the Wii version was the best-selling Just Dance game, and I think it's because a lot of older people like this series, you know, but hey, I'm sure there's some younger people that like it too, you know. And from what I played, you know, many years ago, yeah, I had a good time, but yeah, not much else to say. Also, I forgot to mention the Monster Hunter Stories 3 is on Switch 2, and Once Upon a Katamari and Just Dance, I believe, are Switch 1 and 2 versions, I think. Or at the very least Switch 1, and they work backwards compatible with Switch 2, so yeah, sorry I forgot to mention that. But next up, we got Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. That comes out November 14th of 2025 for both Switch 1 and Switch 2, which I was not expecting for this to come out on Switch 1. I'm curious how it's gonna run there, but I've heard good things about this game. I'm not a big Dragon Ball guy, but overall, I'm pretty happy that, you know, more third-party games, you know, in general, coming over to Switch, especially highly rated ones, such as this, and of course, Switch 2. Like, I'm still surprised, again, it's coming out on Switch 1, but yeah. Next up, we got Plants vs. Zombies Replanted, which comes out October 23rd, 2025, which we kind of knew about this already. Like, it was like rumored, and then it was like rated. I think this was the first official like public announcement of it, and I don't know if I mentioned this already. It comes out on Switch 1 and Switch 2, but I don't have much to say about this game. I like Plants vs. Zombies. I played through the Xbox 360 version, you know, on Xbox Series S, and I really enjoyed it. This remake or whatever doesn't seem like it's gonna offer anything too different, in my opinion. Like, in the trailer itself, it didn't mention anything new besides co-op, though I did see the press release talked about new challenge modes or something, so maybe it depends on how much it costs, I guess. If it's like $20, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'll pick it up because it is a fun time, but I don't know. Anyway, moving on, we got EA Sports FC 26, which comes out September 26, 2025. I don't have much to say about this game. It's just a sports game, and I'm gonna be honest, I really dislike sports games. I don't really like sports in general, but sports games in particular, like, who genuinely cares? They're just the same thing every single year. Like, I don't understand why they keep selling, like, oh my god, I don't know, but like, you know, that's just my own personal thing. But you know, for the people that like EA Sports, there you go. Next up, we got Pac-Man World 2 Repack, which comes out September 26th as well, 2025. I was a little bit confused when I saw this game because I'm like, didn't they just do this already? But I was thinking of Pac-Man World 1 Repack, which I do have that game. I bought it for like $15 on my PS5, and I like what I played of it. But it's nice to see them continue on with these remakes. Again, I was just a little bit confused when I first saw it. We got a sign out for Final Fantasy Tactics to Invalsi Chronicles, probably butchered that. It comes out September 30th, 2025, on both Switch 1 and Switch 2. Also, Pac-Man comes out on Switch 1 and Switch 2, along with EA Sports. Should I mention that? Sorry, I keep forgetting. And I think I mentioned Plants vs. Zombies for Switch 1 and Switch 2. Just trying to cover all my bases. Oh my god. Anyway, like with the Switch 1 and Switch 2 thing, it's kind of hard to notice, you know, because they talked about it at the beginning of the partner showcase, like, hey, we're going to be showing off the Switch 1 or Switch 2 logos, or in some cases both. You know, they're just trying to navigate the cross-gen period, you know, because the Switch 1 is still clearly massive for Nintendo. Like recently it just sold like 153 million. Like I saw that update that posted like a few hours ago, which I'm gonna be doing a sort about that, and also the Switch 2 sales tomorrow. But like, yeah, like it's kind of easy to miss the logos. Anyway, next up we got a highlight for me, even though I already played it, Persona 3 Reload. It comes out October 23rd, 2025. I should say that I don't know the prices about most of these other games, but I do know this game is like $60, which is $10 cheaper than it is on Xbox and PlayStation and PC, which is kind of cool. Although I haven't seen episode I guess, like if that's listed on like the eShop, I don't know. But hey, at least it's like technically cheaper than on, you know, the other platforms. But yeah, I'm really happy this game is coming over to Switch 2. I think it could have run on Switch 1 pretty decently. You know, it was on PS4 and Xbox One. But, you know, I digress. I really am excited for the people that have not played this game. It was my favorite game last year. I consider it a masterpiece, a 10 out of 10. So I definitely recommend you guys check it out. It's really good. You know, I love that game. Next up, we got Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. Comes out winter, which I expected to be here, but I expected it to see a release date. Now, on this Nintendo Life article, they just say 2025. That's not what they say in the trailer, and every time they showed off this game, they just say winter, which, yeah, most likely means 2025, but, you know, winter encompasses, you know, January, even February, so I feel like this game is gonna end up coming out next year because of the fact they keep saying winter. I really expected it to, you know, have a release date here, but they didn't. Now, apparently at the end of the trailer, people say they heard Fi, you know, from Skyward Sword. I didn't notice it myself. I thought it was something mysterious going on, but I didn't notice it was Fi, like her theme. So I guess we'll see what that's about. Apparently Nintendo is really committed to saying this is canon, you know, the canonical events that led to Tears of the Kingdom. But they have also said that for Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, so, you know, I'm willing to doubt them a little bit, but I guess we'll see. I didn't actually hate Age of Calamity. I really enjoyed it, but I can't help but feel a little bit bad for the people that really wanted that to be canon, even myself a little bit. So just be cautious, you know, even though they are adamant that this is canon. They said it before about Age of Calamity. Anyway, next up we got Madden NFL 2026, which comes out August 14th of 2025. And this is on Switch 2. Also, in case you didn't know, Hyrule Warriors was on Switch 2 only as well. Don't have much to say about Madden. Like, it's cool to see it brought back for Nintendo. I think the last one was like at the beginning of Wii U. But again, it's just a sports game. Who cares, you know? Next up, we got Chilling by the Campfire, which was wholly memed about. It came out recently, you know, the day the direct happened, specifically July 31st, 2025. And this was memed about because of the fact that, like, the camera usage for the Switch 2 and the faces the people made when they were showing this game off. Like, it kind of looked... A lot of people say it actually looked bad. I don't think it looked bad. It just looked kind of like, why focus so much on this game, you know? I don't know. I think it looks but like a lot of people are hating on it. I don't know. Next up, we got Apex Legends, which is a new Switch 2 version, which comes out August 5th. So next week, or like in a few days by the time you see this video, 2025. Not much else to say. It's a free-to-play game. I was kind of hoping actually Fall Guys would be upgraded before this, but you know, whatever. Next up, we got Hella, which is 2025 on Switch 2, and this actually looked pretty cool. It follows like a mouse wrapped guy or something, and I liked how the world looked, and it overall was pretty surprisingly, you know, I was not expecting this game to look actually this good. So yeah, I commend them. Next up, we got another shout out for Star Wars Outlaws, which comes out September 4th, 2025 on Switch 2. And a lot of people have also said this game looks bad on Switch 2. I actually thought it looked pretty good, minus the main character's hairstyle. Overall, the main character looked a little weird, but her hairstyle looked really weird to me. But I thought overall, like, it looked pretty good. Like, Jabba looked, like, you know, realistic, and I liked how the game looked overall. But a lot of people say it looked bad, like it was running in handheld mode or something. I don't know. Again, I clearly have different tastes than other people. Like the Katamari game, I noticed the frame rate drops immediately, but apparently other people didn't. But with this, I don't notice anything, but apparently people did, so whatever, I digress. Next up, we got the release date for Chronos, The New Dawn, which was, I thought it was already out, and when I first saw it, I thought it was Dead Space, so I confused this like twice. But this game, you know, it was just said it was coming out 2025, and now we know it's coming out on Switch 2, and it comes out September 5th for everything, you know, PS5 and Xbox as well. And this looked cool, but again, I don't have much to say about it because I thought it was Dead Space. But I thought it looked interesting, you know, with the time travel stuff. But it also seems like it's a horror thing, which I don't like horror stuff. You know, I'm a wimp, sorry. But anyway, next up we got Yakuza Konami 2, which comes on November 13th, 2025, around the time of my birthday, like a few days earlier, on Switch 2. And Konami 1 is also getting a Switch 2 update that's, I believe, free, you know, at the same day. So there you go. I fully expect Sega to be bringing over these Yakuza games, you know, ever so slowly to Switch 2. You know, it just makes sense for them to do. Next up, we got Goodnight Universe, November 11th, 2025. This is the start of the sizzle reel section. I don't really have much else to say about these games. So NBA Bounce, September 26th, 2025. That's on, I think, Switch 1, along with the other game, Goodnight Universe, Switch 1, and probably playable through Switch 2 via backwards compatibility. I don't know if it's like a full-on Switch 2 version. Next up, we got Hello Kitty Island Adventure, Wheat Fleet Wonderland, Fall 2025, which is, I think, DLC or something. When I first saw it, I'm like, didn't that game already come out? But I think it's DLC, Switch 1. Romantic Saga 2, Revenge of the Seven. It's out right now. Came out July 31st, 2025 for Switch 2. Shinobi Art of Vengeance comes out August 29th, 2025. Which I think it's Switch 1 and backwards compatible via Switch 2. I don't know if it has a Switch 2 version. Again, this is all kind of confusing. I'm just trying to go over everything as best as I can, because this article does a good job with it, but also they kind of like, they don't say like in the thing if it's Switch 1 or Switch 2 either. I could see the logos for some of these games, you know, because they link YouTube videos. And also, that's not even talking about the fact that they forgot to mention Konami 1. They forgot to mention that. Oh no, they did mention it, but it's like a little blurb. They didn't just have it as its own separate tab. Anyway, let's continue on. I apologize, I'm just trying to explain. But next up, we got Borderlands 4, another shout out, comes out October 3rd, 2025. You know, for Switch 2. And then here are the two closeouts, which are two Square Enix games that look very similar, and I was confused by them, which is the first one being The Adventures of Elliot, the Millennium Tales. Comes out 2026 on Switch 2. I actually thought this game looked pretty cool, but I got confused with what I thought it was the last game, which was leaked ahead of time. But yeah, it still looks cool, and there's a fairy named Faye. Isn't that like from Zelda or something? It's basically like Zelda, like the fairy. And then they're gonna be gathering feedback for this game. You know, there's a demo out available right now, so you guys can check it out. Yeah, I mean, it seems cool. It's an action RPG in the HD 2D style. I feel like I have high hopes for this game, how it's gonna turn out. But next up is the last actual game, being Octopath Traveler 0, which comes out December 4th, 2025, which I got confused with the Elliot. I was thinking that was Octopath Traveler 0 because this title was leaked ahead of time. And to be fair, like all the HD 2D games look very similar to each other, so it's kind of hard to differentiate them. But anyway, I've seen some things that apparently it seems like it's like the mobile game that's a prequel, but it has the main character now, like a retooling of the mobile game, but I haven't seen that be confirmed, or, you know, a lot of people say that. I just seen some people say that. I don't know. I assume it's kind of like that, and it comes out on Switch 1 and Switch 2, two versions. But yeah, I mean, I don't have much else to say about it. I need to continue playing Octopath Traveler 1, and I get to 2, and then 0, you know, they're on Game Pass. So yeah, I don't have much else to say about this Direct. Overall, when I first saw it, I thought it was good, but like kind of lacking in some ways. Now though, after this is being recorded like a day after the event happened, I feel like it was kind of like a mixed bag. Like, to be honest, I liked a decent bit of it. I think I am way more kinder to it than other people. A lot of people hated it or thought it could have been an email. Here's the thing you guys need to understand. Every single Direct presentation, whatever, for any company, each game within that is not going to appeal to everyone, you know? There's going to be some games that appeal to people and some that don't, you know? And you need to take that into consideration when people say, oh, I actually liked it, or they hated it. It's because they didn't have the games they wanted to be shown off. But because of a lot of people saying that it was, at the very least, you know, mid, I do think that this Direct had some issues. You know, not just because of the public acceptance, but my own personal opinion is just the fact that we needed release dates for more games. And I actually have a short about that, which you could check out. I uploaded earlier today talking about the fact that we're still missing so many release dates from not just Nintendo, but other third parties like Elden Ring and Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like, they should have been here, but they weren't. So I think there's a big oversight with this Direct. But overall, I thought it was fine, you know? I don't think it was amazing, but it had games and some surprises, you know, like Monster Hunter Stories 3, Pac-Man World 2 Repack, Persona 3 Reload that was leaked ahead of time. But it's really nice to see that game come out on Switch 2. But it was missing a lot of stuff that I just don't understand. Nintendo, why is it not here? Like the Age of Imprisonment thing. What is going on with Nintendo's 2025? And it's not even considering, you know, third parties that I'm surprised are not here, like Microsoft. You know, I was thinking we would see like Forza Horizon and Sea of Thieves come over to Switch or Switch 2 because of them coming over to PS5, so that's kind of weird. But overall, yeah, it was fine. Although there were two missing games that were not here. That they were in the Japan version of this partner showcase. The first one was Dragon Quest III HD 2D. That's getting a Switch 2 upgrade. I don't know when exactly. It might already be out. I don't know. But that's getting upgraded. I don't know why that wasn't here in this North American Direct. And what's interesting is the fact that Square Enix said that they wouldn't be offering an upgrade for Switch 2 for Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D. So why 3? I don't know. They're also not even offering a upgrade if you buy Octopath Traveler 0 on Switch 1 for Switch 2 at all. Like, oh my god. Square Enix, what are you doing? Anyway, there's that. And there was some other game that was like some sort of farming game, but it looked more unique apparently. I don't know what it's called. Like, it was like some very long name or whatever. I don't know, but it looked interesting. You know, it wasn't just like a Stardew Valley clone like every single other farming game that's in these like directs or whatever. So yeah, I don't know why that wasn't here. There's always some games that are like exclusive that most of the time don't make sense to be exclusive in like Japan. I don't know. I remember still that there was a Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase that happened like I think 2 years ago or something, where it actually had way more stuff in the Japan version, and the Direct itself was like very bad, you know, for everywhere else, but it was actually fine, decent even in the Japan version. I think I even did a review of that Direct as well. And also another thing to consider is that most of these are game key cards, which I know a lot of people don't like. Like, I just don't care really, like, because I don't have money, obviously. But, you know, a lot of people are buying digital, and game key cards are neat in that, you know, you could sell them, trade them, or whatever. But of course, you know, physical is better. But like, I just don't really care too much. But you know, just the thing to keep in mind, most of these are game key cards. I don't know which ones are not exactly, but I do know something like Persona 3 Reload is a game key card. So yeah, if you guys are planning to buy these games, you know, just fair warning. But I think that's it for the overview of this Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase. Again, it was fine. I had some definitely issues with it, which I also talked about, you know, the lack of release dates in a sort I uploaded earlier today. That's like the major thing I dislike about it. But overall, it was okay, you know, it could have been worse. But man, the past few Nintendo Direct Partner Showcases have actually been better than this. So, but hey, you know, there's always, you know, a Nintendo Direct to look forward to later on. I think we'll be getting it in September, you know, with first party stuff along with other third parties. So, you know, we just gotta be a little bit patient. We had that big Nintendo Direct that was an hour long, and I'm going to be covering every single announcement, including some stuff that was not even shown off in the Direct, like a game and some details like pricing. So yeah, this is gonna be a pretty long video, almost like 40 minutes long. So grab some popcorn, strap on in, and let's just get right into it, shall we? So starting things off with the Nintendo Direct, we will be going in chronological order, or at least I'll try to be going that. You know, I might skip around slightly here and there. But first off, we got some announcements for like non-gaming stuff, like the Nintendo Museum, how they're gonna be having a display for like concept art there, and like if you get a ticket or something, you'll get a Mario 40th anniversary design or something. Which with the museum, you know, most people are not gonna see it because it costs a lot of money and you have to travel to Japan in the first place. They should really put this out in more places like America or Europe. But I digress. We also got a teaser for the next Super Mario movie, you know, by Illumination. And we got the name of it called the Super Mario Galaxy movie, which I thought it was going to be called the Super Mario World movie, because that was like a leaked thing like a couple of months ago. I think within like Illumination or Universal's like database or something. I guess that was wrong, you know, so whatever. I'm surprised we didn't get a full-on like reveal trailer for the movie, but whatever, I guess. And by the way, a lot of this Direct kind of felt like, I don't know, a bit slower paced than I was expecting, you know? It was still pretty relatively fast paced, you know, better than like something like a Summer Game Fest or Game Awards, where those drag on forever. But like compared to other Nintendo Directs, I felt like this was a little bit slower, especially when it didn't need to be. Like for some reason during this Mario movie section, they were talking about, oh, these guys are coming back. Peach, you know, as Anya Taylor-Joy, Mario as Chris Pratt, you know, like they were going one by one, and I don't know why they didn't just say these actors are coming back and then show the whole slot of like the 6 people they announced were coming back for the second film, but I digress. Anyway, I think that's it for the non-gaming stuff. Let's get into the actual gaming stuff, which is Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 plus Amiibo. The games come out for Switch 1, though they'll have upgrades for Switch 2, like 4K. They come out October 2nd. The Amiibo, for some reason, comes out like in April. I don't know why it's coming out way later. I digress. This is really cool for Mario Galaxy 2, you know, because that was the game missing for the 3D All-Stars collection. But I don't understand why they didn't just do like a reprint of 3D All-Stars and have a Switch 2 edition for like an extra $10 where you get Mario Galaxy 2 and also the upgraded content for Mario Galaxy 1, because they're both getting some sort of upgraded content, like in the form of Rosalina's storybook. Like there's gonna be new pages, new chapters, and I think they're adding it completely to Mario Galaxy 2. I'm curious how that's gonna work, because that game is notorious for cutting the story of Mario Galaxy. There's also like a new assist mode. I don't know if it's for both games, because Mario Galaxy 2 already had an assist mode. Mario Galaxy 1 I'm pretty sure didn't, so maybe they'll just add Mario Galaxy 2's assist mode into Mario Galaxy 1. And they did say and more, so maybe, I don't know, mouse controls, that could make sense, you know, with the pointer instead of just motion controls. So yeah, it's cool, but at the same time, this is a big problem, because both of these games are $70 for both or $40 each. And, you know, these are Switch 1 games, you know, and this is the second Switch 1 game to be $70. And if you want to buy them individually, like if you already have Mario Galaxy 1 or the 3D All-Stars collection, they're $40 individually. But what's annoying is that it seems like Mario Galaxy 1 is going to be slightly different between this version and the 3D All-Stars collection. I don't know, again, why not just have an update for 3D All-Stars, like a Switch 2 edition, you know, and then have that like be reprinted as a $70 game. But no, these two games are $70, and like it's so strange, because they were valued at $20 each on the Wii U. So I guess maybe with the 3D All-Stars collection, Nintendo valued Mario 64 and Sunshine as $10 each, and then Mario Galaxy 1 as $40. I don't know, but like I just don't understand. But it is cool to see some sort of new content and Mario Galaxy 2 finally come over to Switch. But again, there's just like some things where I'm like, really? Like, you couldn't do a 3D All-Stars Switch 2 edition, but whatever. Also, the amiibo do look cool, but I'm gonna guess they're like $50. Like, everything is expensive with Nintendo nowadays, and the amiibo are a big part of that, but it does look cool. You can also see like a slight redesign for Rosalina. I wonder if that's gonna be how Rosalina looks like in the Mario Galaxy movie, because you know Rosalina's gonna appear there, right? But anyway, we got Mario Tennis Fever announced for Switch 2. Comes out February 12th, so 2 days before Valentine's Day. And this is the first time we see Waluigi as a baby, which is weird but cool. And the first time in a while we see Wario as a baby. But I don't know why they're doing another Mario Tennis game. We don't have a Mario Baseball game. Like, why not have that, you know? Mario Tennis, I know it's like Nintendo's sweetheart for some reason in terms of like the sports games, but like it's still weird. Like, what about baseball, you know? At the very least, this game does look cool, and I do like how it looks, and like the story mode seems interesting, you know, where everyone turns into babies so they have to relearn their tennis skills or whatever. Like, that's a cool concept. But overall, yeah, where's Mario Baseball? You know, whatever. Anyway, we got Mario Wonder, Nintendo Switch 2 Edition, plus Meetup in Bell Park or something, comes out spring 2026. I don't know why this doesn't come out sooner, and I also don't know why most of this is like multiplayer stuff. There seems to be a tease for like at the end of the trailer, like, hey, there's gonna be some more single player stuff, like the Koopa Lanes, they're coming back. But overall, it seems like most of this is gonna be multiplayer stuff, which is like, you know, for someone like me that's a lonely guy, you know, like it's kind of annoying. But again, there's at least some hints that there's going to be more single player stuff, so hey, that's cool, I guess. But this was kind of predictable. We kind of expected, you know, Switch 2 edition for Mario Wonder. But you know what's not predictable is the fact that they're going to be selling a actual talking flower thing, which is really cool, and it's gonna talk randomly to you at points. I wonder if there's gonna be a way to turn it off. I kind of hope so for the people that don't want that, but I think that's really cool, and it's very silly. It's gonna be like $100 though, but I like it. Also, I forgot to mention with the Mario Galaxy section that they're gonna be selling Rosalina's storybook, but they're not gonna be including the new chapters for that book physically. I don't know why, but you know, I think these are cool things to sell, even though It's probably gonna be a lot of money. Like I could be seeing that a lot, things that cost a lot of money in this direct. Now the last part of this Mario section of this direct, it was kind of like 2 directs in one, like the Mario stuff and then the rest of it. But for some reason, I don't know why, it is Mario series, but I don't know why it was part of the Mario section. This being Yoshi and the Mysterious Book comes out on the Switch 2 for spring of 2026. A lot of spring games, by the way, we'll see here in this direct. As well, another reoccurring thing. Also, a lot of DLC, but we'll get to that in a bit. But it did look cool. I liked it. It looked better than Crafted World. Everyone hates on that game. I kind of liked it, but at the same time, at the end, it kind of got tedious, and I prefer Woolly World. But anyway, this game does look better, like a step up from Crafted World. But again, I don't know why it was here of this Mario 40th anniversary section. Like, it is Mario, part of the Mario series, with Yoshi, but like, it's its own separate thing. I would have expected to see the next 3D Mario game here, like a teaser, at the very least. But judging by the fact that, Donkey Kong Bananza came out, and later on we'll talk about the DLC for that game, which is a whole other issue. But we got DLC for that game 2 months after it launched. I'm guessing the next 3D Mario game is actually going to be quite a ways away. So yeah, but I wish, we got a teaser or something. But anyway, let's go on to the actual Nintendo section, that's not like part of the Mario anniversary. So starting things off, we got Storm Launchers that comes out on Switch 1 right now. It's actually available right now. It came out on September 12th. And I thought this game looked kind of cool. It's like a Metroidvania type thing. It does of course look similar to other Metroidvanias, but it's a gameplay style that works, and the girl looked kind of cute. The one in red. Anyway, next up we got Dinkum for Switch 1. Comes out November 9th, so 10 days before my birthday. And this looked weird. It looked like Minecraft mixed with Animal Crossing mixed with Mii's. Like, the characters look like Mii's or whatever. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, that comes out then. Next up we got Pop-Orcom. Comes out on Switch 1 of this holiday. And this, I believe this is the one where, oh, by the way, I should mention I'm looking at the games announced here via a Nintendo Life article. So, yeah, I believe this is the game where it kind of looked like a mix match of, like, Puyo Puyo, or like a puzzle type game where you match 3 colors and then, you go on through. And also like Splatoon, like a platformer, it kind of looked like that. I think it's this one, and it looked kind of cool. But yeah. Now, next up, we got Tomodachi Life Living the Dream. We got more details of this game, and it looks cool, and, it's for Switch 1. They didn't detail any Switch 2 enhancements. I feel like there are going to be something like Mario Galaxy, but it comes out spring 2026, so we have a narrow release date now. And yeah, it does look cool. I'm surprised we didn't see Rhythm Heaven Fever. I think that's what it's called, right? I'm surprised we didn't see that here. And I also don't know why that game and Tomodachi Life got revealed so early. Like, this game is going to come out like Tomodachi Life. Going to come out like a year after it was announced, which is kind of weird. Anyway, we got a shout out for Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection for Switch 1 and Switch 2. Comes out October 30th. Digitally, physical comes out, I think, November, December, or something. I think it's December, actually. But yeah, this looks cool. I love me some collections, and yeah, it's nice. Now we got Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. This comes out January 22nd of, next year. I thought it was going to come out this year. I thought they said 2025, but okay, I guess. Now, this game is actually $40 on, they will announce the release date and price for Switch 2 and Xbox, and it's crazy that it's that cheap. I thought it was going to be like 60, 70, like how it launched on PS5. But that's not all, because Square Enix, I believe, tweeted out that, not only is this game coming out on, Xbox and Switch on this date, but the entire remake trilogy is also coming out on Switch 2 and Xbox. So we'll get Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and then the third game, whatever that's called, we'll get that for Switch 2 and also Xbox. So that's really nice to see. I'm really happy about that. And also, there's like a limited time pre-order things if you buy like I think a $50 version on the eShop, you get the remake, you know, Final Fantasy 7, and also the original one. But I think I saw something where for the Switch 2, you get the original game like when the remake comes out. When Xbox, you just get the OG game immediately, which is weird since the OG one is already available on Switch. You could buy it right now separately. So it makes me wonder if there's going to be an upgrade for the original Final Fantasy 7. I could be misreading that, but that's what I saw at least. But anyway, this is still cool, pretty cheap. Although I did see it was like 80 some gigabytes. Oh my god, so big. Anyway, let's move on for Final Fantasy. We got Legend Banner of the Spark for Switch 1 and Switch 2 is out right now. And I believe this game is the one where it looks a lot like Soundfall, like a sequel to that game. It's not. Maybe it's made by the same people. I don't know. But Soundfall was a pretty cool game. It was in a Nintendo Direct, like indie thing or partner showcase a while ago. But it also came out on like PlayStation. I have it on PlayStation and it's really fun. You had kind of like Matt's fighting moves with like the beat. This kind of reminded me of it, but you know, I don't think it's made by the same people, but I could be wrong. Anyway, after that we got Hades 2 for Switch 1 and Switch 2. Comes out September 25th. It is a time console exclusive, and this game looked really cool. I love me Hades. I need to finish that game, but this just looks more like Hades, and I love that, you know. I especially love the girl. I think it might be Sagria's sister, but she's attractive. I love me attractive women. But yeah, this was really cool. It looked fun, you know, and yeah, I think this is a big win for a console exclusive for Nintendo. Next up, we got Kirby Air Riders. We got Amiibo shown off here that comes out the same day as the game's release date on November 20th, which is the day after my birthday. They're apparently $50 according to Target, which is but they do have the added functionality of being able to swap characters like physically, you know, like it's kind of reminds me of like, I don't know, Skylanders or whatever. So that's kind of neat. We also did get news that a second Kirby Air Riders Direct, you know, by Sakurai is gonna come soon. They didn't say when. I don't know why, but there you go. I guess Sakurai still has a lot more to show us. We did know from that Sakurai, you know, Kirby Air Riders Direct that he did have more to show us, but I didn't expect it to be another presentation. Really, I thought maybe it would be a section of like a bigger section of a Nintendo Direct, you know, like this one. Anyway, next up we got Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment for Switch 2, of course. It comes out November 6th, way earlier than I think everyone was expecting. I think people expected maybe December or most likely January, but no, this comes out November, and I guess it makes sense because Age of Calamity came out November 2 of 2020, but this is still like, wow, that's cool. As I just realized, the Nintendo Life article says that it says November 6, 2026. That it comes out this year. Oh my god, imagine 20. Yeah, that's a typo they gotta fix. Anyway, but yeah, it comes out and this year, and it looked cool. We got to see the Zonai devices, and we got to see a Korok, which I feel like that might be the Great Deku Tree as he was younger. I don't know. But we got to see a tiny Korok as a playable character. That's cool. And yeah, overall, I think this game looks cool. Every time we've seen this game, I've been like, it looks cool, but like nothing really too eye-catching. But this trailer made it seem more appealing to me, you know, and I'm glad it's coming out sooner rather than later. Now we got Dragon Quest VII Reimagined for Switch 1 and Switch 2, February 5th of next year. The art style for this game looks a little bit weird to me. Like they basically took the 2D art assets, you know, like the art, and they made it into 3D. I think that's kind of weird. Like characters look strange to me. But this is like a remake, I guess, and it's not an HD 2D like the other remakes that Square Enix has done. And it doesn't seem like it's gonna be like a, you know, something like Final Fantasy VII Remake where there's like a 3-part series, you know, where it's completely changed or whatever. This seems like there's gonna be maybe some changes, but it's gonna be like the same game at its core. Just looks better. At least that's what I'm getting from the vibe. I don't know why they announced this though, like so soon, you know, when Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D is not even out yet, right? Now, I believe before this next announcement, which is pretty crazy. We got, for some reason, a shout out for Nintendo Today talking about a Kirby theme that was being added, or it actually was added like a day or two prior, to this direct, but they just said like, oh, it's being added soon. Okay, even it's already out, but whatever, I guess. But really, now we got probably one of the craziest announcements for multiple reasons. The Virtual Boy Nintendo Classics comes out for Switch 1 and Switch 2 February 17th next year. This is, first of all, I do think this is cool that they're re-releasing Virtual Boy games, finally. This is the first time they've done that. I don't know why they didn't do it for the 3DS, but I digress. This is really cool, and they're basically having all the Virtual Boy games. There's like one or two missing. Waterworld, that's like a movie license game, and something else, Funky Bowling, or I don't know, but like basically almost all the Virtual Boy games are coming over. But I don't like the fact that you are required to have either it's $100 to full model Virtual Boy sell, or there's also a cardboard one for like $25. I don't like the idea that that's required, I'm curious if there maybe is like some way you can play it without it, like what happens if you try to play it without the required accessories, because I don't want to spend money on Virtual Boy games that I'll play for like 10 minutes and that's it. But it is cool that they are re-releasing Virtual Boy games finally. But again, I just have a lot of things like why do you require the accessories, Oh my god. Anyway, next up we got Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly Remake. Comes out for Switch 2 early 2026. Okay. Next up we got basically a scissor reel for Switch 2 editions, although they were all third party. I don't know why there wasn't any first party Switch 2 editions besides Mario Wonder, but whatever. We got One Piece Pirate Warriors 4, comes out fall of this year. Overcooked 2, Switch 2 edition comes out holiday. Stardew Valley Nintendo Switch 2 edition comes out fall 2025. This looked interesting, and I was kind of concerned if this was going to be a paid thing, but it seems like it's going to be free, which is nice, even though it's weird. A lot of Switch 2 editions are usually paid, but this one, I think, is going to be free, and there have been other Switch 2 editions that are either free completely or, like, super, super cheap, like, like Fantasy Life or something like that. That was, like, $2 or something. But, like, yeah, it seems like it's free, and I wonder what the other editions are, if they're going to be free or paid or what. But at least it seems like Stardew Valley is, and that's kind of cool because I have that game. They're adding stuff like 4-player split screen, the mouse function, that's cool. But anyway, next up we got Human Fall Flat Switch 2 edition. There's like new levels or something. And then I don't know if this was revealed already. Power Wash Simulator 2 comes out for Switch 2 fall. I want a release date for this game, like a direct one, oh, by the way, speaking of like these fall, winter, it was weird because, they kept saying winter for Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, but November is now winter. That is fall. So, yeah, anyway, sidetrack. Power Wash Simulator 2. I love Power Wash Simulator 1. I've been really enjoying it on my PS5. It was a monthly game for PS Plus, and it's really nice to get another sequel, even though I wondered, like, hey, did they really need to? But they did show off some things where I'm like, yeah, it kind of makes sense for it to be a sequel, like simultaneous, like 4 players can clean stuff, it seemed kind of interesting, and like just like a furniture house element or whatever. But yeah, I don't know if this was announced already for Switch 2. I don't think so. Anyway, we got Suka Game Planet. This is, I'm pretty sure, a new game by the team that makes Suka Game, which was only $3, and they kept doing DLC that was like $4 or $5. With, why isn't this like a separate mode? But I'm guessing it's gonna be cheap like the first game was gonna be like, I don't know, $3, $4, $5 at most. But anyway, this is pretty cool. I like Suka Game, and it's nice to see a new one. And it comes out winter of 2025. I don't think I said that yet. And it comes out for Switch 1 and Switch 2. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Next up, we got Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Of course, for Switch 1 and Switch 2. We got a release date finally. Let's heckin' go. Comes out December 4th. And this is what I predicted. Although I predicted we would get Metroid Prime 2 and 3 remastered. I guess that's not happening, but I am kind of still a prophet, like I predicted with Xenoblade X getting announced, I got the Metroid Prime 4 release date right. And this actually look really cool. Like I mentioned before with Hyrule Warriors, this was another game where they've shown it a lot, and I've been like, okay, like that looks nice, I guess, but I'm not really like vibing with it too much personally. I'm sure other Metroid Prime fans are. But when they showed the motorcycle, I'm like, hold up, this is like an open world game? What? And a lot of people were saying it looked like PS3 graphics or PS2 graphics to open world. I thought it looked cool. But yeah, like they showed the motorcycle thing, and I was like, hot dog, like that game. This game actually looks more better than I was expecting. I thought it looked nice or whatever, and great for Metroid Prime fans. Which I played a bit of Metroid Prime 1. I have a controversial opinion about that game, but I need to continue the Metroid Prime series. But this game looks even better now when they sort out the motorcycle. I'm surprised they didn't do any narration for this trailer. Basically, every other trailer they had narration. I do prefer the non-narration thing, but again, at the same time, like, why was this like the odd one out? But I digress. This was cool, and there's also amiibo for the Metroid Prime 4 as well. It comes out in like November, which is strange. I don't know what's with these weird amiibo release dates. Again, with Mario Galaxy, that comes out like months after the fact. Those games come out in October. And I wonder if they're going to do like a direct focus on this game. I mean, if Kirby Air Riders could get 2 directs, like I feel like Metroid Prime 4 can get 1, right? And now we got a mixed bag for me. Donkey Kong Bananza DLC called DK Island and Emerald Rush for, of course, Switch 2 is out now. And like, I just have a bit of a mixed bag because this is a $20 DLC. And the fact that this came out 2 months after, the game came out in July, and we still don't have any announcement for DLC for heckin' Mario Kart World, and like, no 3D Mario. Like, I think Donkey Kong Bonanza looks amazing, and this DLC does look cool, but at the same time, like, again, it's paid content after, like, shortly after the game came out. It feels like they hold it back, the thing, just to sell it separately, But there's also a demo available for Donkey Kong Bonanza. I wonder if it's the same demo that was available for stores, because I played a little bit of the Donkey Kong Bonanza demo at, like, Walmart. I wonder if it's the same one. Haven't tried it out yet. But going back to the DLC, I really like the roguelike elements of this. I love that Nintendo's going like a lot with roguelites, with like Xenoblade 3's challenge mode, and Splatoon 3's side order DLC. But again, I just have like kind of a mixed bag about this, but I digress. Anyway, next up we got a Pokemon section, basically, which was kind of strange to see Pokemon games again, a lot of them on the general Nintendo Direct. But we got Pokemon Pokopedia or Pokopia, I don't know, something like that, for Switch 2 2026. The game, I like how it looks, but I'm kind of confused by the fact that you're playing as a Ditto that's disguised as a human. I don't know why the Ditto is disguised as a human. It's kind of weird. Like, why not just play as an actual Ditto? Oh, or I don't know. Maybe this is still going to be the case, but like have a Ditto that, you could customize, and change how they look, like, completely. Maybe that's still going to be the case. But like at the same time, like, why can't we just play as the actual Ditto, and we have to be like a weird human cursed thing? I don't know. But I thought it looked cool. I saw some people complaining about it because it looks like the graphics are finally like at a basic Switch 1 level, but this is the Pokemon company. They're bad at graphics for some reason. But I thought it looked cool still, and it's like a Minecraft type thing. It really did look like Minecraft, or like a Dragon Quest Builders. But I liked it. Next up, we got another shout out for Pokemon Legends ZA. Now, this is the game where it still didn't do much for me. In fact, it kind of lowered my opinion on this game when they showed off this trailer, because it's like the same thing we've been seeing over and over for this game. Like, it looks cool, but at the same time, there hasn't been really showing that much where I'm like, wow, that actually excites me more. Like the Metroid Prime 4, like with the motorcycle, or even Hyrule Warriors, where we saw the Zonai devices and a release date. Like, we already knew the release date for Pokemon Legends ZA for a while, and in fact, it looks the same, but we're getting DLC for the game, and it's $30, and it's for like Pokemon X and Y, I guess, or something. But the DLC, it's just so strange that they announced DLC before the game is even out. I know Nintendo has done that a few times, but it really feels like they're doing it a lot with this direct in particular, and it's kind of annoying. Oh my god. Anyway, next up we got Danganronpa 2x2 or 2x2, I don't know, for Switch 1 and Switch 2 2026. Now, Danganronpa 2 was already on Switch along with like the other Danganronpa games, but this is like I guess kind of like a Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance thing where, you could choose a different option in like the menu, and then it changes the game or whatever. But it doesn't seem like there's going to be an upgrade for people that bought Danganronpa 2, already on Switch, like me, which is kind of annoying. But, it is kind of interesting to see new Danganronpa content, at least. So it seems like the series is not dead, but again, it's weird. Anyway, we got Dynasty Warriors Origins, comes out January 22nd for Switch 2. There's also gonna be DLC for this game. I don't know if the DLC is like coming out like at the same time as other platforms, or if it's DLC like it's already out on other platforms and it's coming out later for Switch 2. I don't know. But this game, well, it's a Dynasty Warriors game, which is what the blueprint of like Hyrule Warriors, Fire Emblem Warriors. But I just don't know anyone that cares about Dynasty Warriors when it's not like a crossover type thing, Like, the gameplay is fun. I like Warriors games, but like, I don't see anyone care about Dynasty Warriors. But I'm sure there's still some people, right? Anyway, we got another trailer for Monster Hunter Stories 3, Twisted Reflection. Comes out March 13th. Did we know a release date for this game? I don't know. For Switch 2. It looked more like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom type game, which was kind of funny because when they first showed off this game, they had a blue shirt, blonde kid, and it looked like Breath of the Wild, and this looks like the mini-map thing, looked more like Breath of the Wild, but whatever. Anyway, we got a partner sizzle reel thing. So we got 2 Point Museum that comes out October 28th. Dengea 7 Complete, probably butchered that name, comes out October 10th. Both of those for Switch 2. EA Sports FC 26 for Switch 1 and Switch 2, September 26th. Dragon Quest 1 at 2 HD 2D Remake, Switch 1 and Switch 2, October 30th. Virtual Fighter 5 Revo World Stage for Switch 2 this winter. Lego Voyager, Switch 1 and Switch 2, September 15th. Little Nightmares 3, Switch 1 and Switch 2, October 10th. And Persona 3 Reload, October 23rd, for Switch 2. I totally recommend Persona 3 Reload, check it out. But yeah, also I think there's a demo available for Persona 3 Reload they didn't talk about, so go check that out, how it runs. Apparently it's like 30 frames, I don't know why. Weird, whatever. But anyway, the second to last games for this direct is Resident Evil Requiem, Resident Evil 9 plus 7 and 8 gold editions. They all come out for Switch 2 on February 27th, which is crazy because Resident Evil Requiem, that game is coming out date and date with the other platforms. That's really, really cool. And it looked like the visuals look pretty good, and at the very least for 7 and 8, I think those are going to run pretty darn well, and they're not cloud versions unlike they were on Switch 1, so yeah, and it's really cool to have them all drop in the same day. They're not like, oh, Nintendo, we're like, oh, we should drop this a little bit before, to space it out, to get people interested in the series. Nah, Capcom is like, let's just drop it all right now. Okay, but the last announcement is Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave for Switch 1 and Switch 2. I did actually know that. Is it really for Switch 1 and Switch 2? I thought it was only a Switch 2 exclusive game. Anyway, 2026, unless that's a mistake by... that might actually just be a mistake for Nintendo Live. I don't know. Either way, this is a new Fire Emblem game, and I know some people were disappointed that this was the closeout. Like, really? Fire Emblem? That's a niche franchise. But even though I put like halfway through Fire Emblem 3 Houses, I haven't played that much Fire Emblem, but I really like it when Nintendo ends off or starts off, these directs with like a nicer product, like a Xenoblade, like a Fire Emblem, It's just really nice to see. And even though I'm not a Fire Emblem person, really, I appreciate it, It like, kind of kicks in the face of, like, the people that only want, like, 3D Mario, even though I want 3D Mario, but, like, a new Zelda game, a new Pokemon, like, it's just cool, It's just cool. But this seems like it's gonna be like a sequel to Three Houses, it seems, because they show the sword, or like the thing the main character has from Three Houses, the orange thing. Like you see that a couple of times, and like at the end of the trailer, they reveal Solace. Is that her name? But the girl that, like, the green hair girl that was like helping guide you in Three Houses and also Three Hopes. So this seems like it's a sequel, I guess. Interesting. This is like the first time it's happened, right? In Fire Emblem, usually they're like standalone games with like maybe some, characters thrown in, like references, like Engage, which had like Marth, for example. But this is kind of interesting. Now, that's not it for the Direct. Well, that is for the North American version, but in the Japan version of the Nintendo Direct, we got a reveal for Mega Man, Star Force Legacy Collection, and yeah, I think it's 3 games or whatever. Is that how many Star Force games there are on the DS? But I don't know why this wasn't part of the Nintendo Direct in North America, even if it was just a sizzle reel. I know apparently like it wasn't sold the best, Star Force, but like still, like you would think that would be here, especially because after the Japanese Direct announced that, they announced it for everywhere, on Xbox, PlayStation, and of course, the Switch coming out in America as well. But again, I don't know why that wasn't here, I just found it strange. That would have been really cool to have it here. But overall, I think that's all of the announcements for this Nintendo Direct, for Switch 1 and Switch 2. Plus some Mario stuff that had nothing to do with games, like the museum stuff. I talked about some of the prices, and overall, I think this Direct was good. I liked it, I thought it was gonna be way bigger than it actually was, and so did a lot of other people, because it was an hour long. And usually with like, again, this Direct felt like it was a little bit more slower pace, which I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing, but with past Directs, it felt like they were like fast paced, even for like sections where like you didn't really care about it. Like, I know people complain about like the farming sims in past Nintendo Directs, but like even then, they kind of shot through those farming sims like quickly. While this one, it kind of felt like they took more of their time, which again, is not necessarily bad, but at the same time, it did feel like they could have cut off like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes of this Direct, made it a bit shorter, and with the length, it made people think, including myself, that it was going to be way bigger than it was. And I feel like maybe, like, if this was like a year 2, year 3 Nintendo Direct, I think this would have been pretty good. But we're still very early on the Switch 2's life cycle, and this Direct kind of seems like it's kind of hard to tell like which games, like again, Fire Emblem, I don't know if that actually is for Switch 1 and Switch 2. I thought it was only a Switch 2 game, but if it is like for both Switch 1 and Switch 2, it's hard to tell, as some other games, like it's hard to tell like, hey, what's coming where to what platform. It seems like, and I don't blame Nintendo at all. I think they should keep doing this, but at the same time, it is kind of like, it doesn't feel like they want people to move on from the Switch 1, really. They want to keep supporting it, which again, I think is not a problem at all, but it's just kind of hard to differentiate, like, hey, this game is coming out only on Switch 2, so be on the lookout for that. It's kind of hard to tell with things, and overall, like, this doesn't feel like, the Switch 2 generation has like really kicked off like with a bang. Like it kind of has with Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bananza, but like they're not gonna end off with like, I don't know. For example, if they would announce like a new 3D Mario game coming out December or November, I think that would have been like, oh my god, okay, this Switch 2 means business, it means business. But yeah, like I don't know. This was a good Direct. This was good. But I definitely have issues with it, and it's not perfect at all. And I think a lot of people also agree with me. I've seen like Arlo, for example, Nathaniel Bandy's videos talking about this Direct, and they pretty much agree with me. And I saw other people's reactions on like Reddit and Twitter, and it's pretty sad that, yeah, this wasn't the best Direct. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't like the one we expected. And that's even not even considering the stuff like outside of the Direct, like the prices. Like the prices are a whole other separate issue that kind of lowers the Direct, I think, more so, because everything is so expensive. In fact, next week I'm gonna be getting paid by YouTube $112, and I was gonna buy a Switch 2 Pro controller, but I'm starting to wonder if like maybe I should buy like some games or something because of the fact that everything is expensive, or maybe get an SD card, you know, which I was gonna get later on, but like everything is just so expensive now, and Nintendo is like, did they really? It kind of makes me concerned about the future for the Switch 2. If like Nintendo keeps pricing things like so much, they're gonna price out some of the younger fans, or even some less financially independent fans, you know, like myself. You know, it kind of brings a worry bit to me, but I feel like it might be a topic for another day. Anyways, going back to the actual Direct itself, if I had to give it a rating, maybe a 7.5 out of 10 or something like that. Maybe 7 out of 10. I think it was good. I'm surprised we didn't see, again, Rhythm Heaven. That was one. No first party Switch 2 editions besides Mario Wonder. Like, we didn't see, I wanted to see some Xenoblade Switch 2 editions, but we didn't. I'm also surprised we didn't see anything about Splatoon Raiders. Or something for Splatoon 3. Like, we have Sheldon's picks we still need. Like, we had that for Splatoon 1 and 2. But again, Splatoon Raiders is like the biggest one. But overall, this was still good. And I don't think this is going to be the last presentation for Nintendo this year, obviously, because the Kirby Air Riders. But I feel like we might see a Metroid Prime 4 Direct, you know, and maybe there'll be something else, like I don't know, they might reveal a game, like, out of the blue, like they did with Xenoblade X Definitive Edition last year. Maybe they'll drop something. But overall, this was like the last big thing for Nintendo this year, and I'm not gonna lie, it is kind of disappointing. But maybe, you know, there's always time for next year, you know. Maybe next year it'll start off with a bang, you know, and we'll see the next 3D Mario game there. We'll see, I don't know, a new Zelda game. We'll see Xenoblade, you know, the Switch 2 editions. I don't know. But anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching this compilation video. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, subscribe, play some Xenoblade, and I'll catch you all next time. Peace. Bye, everyone.